10:01. Good morning from the Circa Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. The NFL franchise tag window closes today at 3 p.m. Central Time. Notable tags around the league include George Pickens in Dallas and Kyle Pitts in Atlanta. The Nashville Predators fell at home on Monday to the Red Wings 4-2. They have dropped 4 of the last 5 and are 4 points back of a wild card spot. It's a quick turnaround. Today, the Preds visit the Blue Jackets for a 6 p.m. puck drop. College hoops, number 23, Tennessee is on the road at South Carolina. Star freshman Nate Ament is out with a right leg injury, reportedly a high ankle sprain. Tip-off tonight is at 5 on network coverage. We'll be joined in progress at 5:30. And number 24, Vanderbilt hits the road. They are at Ole Miss tonight for an 8 p.m. tip. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
We might as well start with the thing that was in Lucas's update, or one of the things that was in Lucas's update. Nate Ament won't play against South Carolina. 2 regular season games remaining in college basketball and the SEC tournament on the horizon. Good morning. We're happy to have you. Hope you're off to a great start. Robert, Lucas, me with you until 1 o'clock. If you would like to chime in, 615-737-1045, or the F&M Bank chat is also available for you to live stream the show, where Sir Lance on YouTube says, put hearts in the chat if you want Jeremiyah Love, because as the title of the show indicates, if you are live streaming the show today, the Titans are the betting favorite to land the Notre Dame running back with the 4th overall pick. Good morning, boys.
Good morning. The headline from Jim Wyatt, TennesseeTitans.com, was indeed, what if the Titans fall in love with Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love?
Shame on you, Jimmy, really.
Love said, quote, I feel like I'd fit in anywhere. With any team, I am bringing receiving ability, running ability, blocking ability. Overall, I feel like I'm a pretty good player. I feel like I can do anything you need me to, special teams as well.
All right, we are trying to distract from the BVS that is lingering over this entire situation. I see you, because your basketball team, if the season were to end today, obviously there are 2 games left to play for the Vols, they would be the 6th seed in the SEC tournament. For what it's worth, we are going to be at the SEC tournament doing the show, so we look forward to seeing all manner of SEC basketball fans. When does the women's tournament start? That has to be here in the
this week,
near future. Okay, very good. So, Lady Vols, vibes, terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible.
Not good.
Opposite of Vanderbilt, where the Commodores are excellent.
Ballin'.
Michaela Blakes, did I see a stat the other day that she's the first player in the conference to average 30 points a game in conference play?
I believe I saw that as well. Yeah, she's averaging 27 per game all season, and 30 in conference play. She's just insane.
Anyway, so Nate Ament is not going to play against the Gamecocks, and he's got that leg injury, which we now know is a high ankle sprain that happened. He got a little tangled up. His right knee bent awkwardly against Alabama while he was caught up in a scrum of players in the first half of the game. He did come back into the game. They ultimately decided to rest him for the remainder of the game. He's averaging 17.4, almost 6.5 rebounds, almost 2.5 assists. He is the leading rebounder for the Vols and the second leading scorer on the team. So basically, you need an all-hands-on-deck situation for the rest of the regular season, which is only 2 games, for Nate Ament. And a high ankle sprain is deeply concerning, especially for a player of that size. I am fascinated to see what happens, how Tennessee looks without him, because he is a critical piece, a critical component of them making any kind of a run by the time we finally get to March Madness.
I mean, shut him down. Bring him back for the NCAA tournament at this point. We're talking about a high ankle sprain. Tennessee's still 8.5-point favorites at South Carolina, who's only won 3 games in SEC play. That game's tonight at 5. All network coverage will be joined in progress on the Zone at 5:30. So you should be able to go on the road and handle your business. And honestly, you should have beaten Alabama without Nate Ament playing the majority of that game on Saturday. You absolutely should have won that game, despite the fact that he played 11 minutes. That is no excuse for just the lack of second chance opportunities that you did not take advantage of and so on. But I say shut him down. You finish out with Vanderbilt on Saturday. It's an uphill climb to get into that top 4 seeding at the SEC tournament to get the bye. Just lock it in for the NCAA tournament.
I feel like that's probably going to be a popular refrain among Vols fans, right? There's no benefit to rushing him back at all.
None.
Given that this is probably your only year with him.
100%. 100% your only year with him. So, his NBA draft stock is also a factor here. Yeah, I personally, obviously, I want to see Nate Ament healthy and playing, but given the situation, Jeff Goodman, the one who reported a high ankle sprain, I personally do not want to see him again until the first round of the NCAA tournament.
So I was reading VolQuest this morning, and they had talked to Justin Gainey, who's the associate head coach for Tennessee. This is the quote about players that need to step up in the absence of Nate Ament. I think Bishop Boswell will have to step up more. I think Amari Evans, Ethan Berg, Troy Henderson needs to be ready. I think Amari Abram needs to be ready. All of those guys, everybody that we have, they need to be ready to step up and contribute in some way, because there's no way to replace with one single player what Nate Ament does for the Vols.
No, and Evans stepped up. Amari Evans has flashed. He's going to be a good player if he sticks around for Rick Barnes. He came off the bench, played 28 minutes, which for him is a season high. Had 8 rebounds, which ties a career high for the true freshman out of Pittsburgh, but 100% collective effort. And there's no excuse to lose tonight at South Carolina. That's a very winnable game. And then closing out with Vanderbilt at home, who you've already beaten at their place this coming Saturday. I am one that prioritizes conference tournaments. I enjoy conference tournaments. I think they mean something. I like to see my team pushing to win conference tournaments. A lot of people could not care less about them and say shut it down for March.
Tennessee hasn't won it very often?
Yeah, maybe. For me, it was a huge thing because that streak, Tennessee had not won an SEC tournament since the 70s, and they broke that streak a few years ago with Vescovy and Josiah Jordan-James. That felt like a huge monkey off the back, but I think there is value in winning a trophy, winning a championship of any sorts. But in this scenario, I'm willing to punt. I'm willing to go one and done at Bridgestone Arena if it means preserving the health of Nate Ament as much as possible. Like a high ankle sprain, man. I don't know the severity of it and the exact situation Ament is in, but we've seen high ankle sprains hold guys out for months.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that it doesn't matter, like the grade of the high ankle sprain, because obviously it does for the purposes of a timeline, but it's not a good thing. And again, a player who is, what is Ament, 6'10"?
Yeah.
That's a really difficult thing to manage, especially with how he plays. So the other part of this is, so you're down Ament for the game tonight, and you've just blown, Alabama was down 13 points with 12 minutes left in that game that Tennessee blew at home. You have to see how they're going to respond, not just in the absence of their best player or their most, is he their most important player? He feels like their most important player right now.
He absolutely. He's the difference maker. He is the catalyst. Like, you talk about what it takes to win at the NCAA tournament. You talk about guard play, defense, but Nate Ament is the thing that could take Tennessee to the next level, that could help Tennessee go on a run in this. But I don't know.
When he's a factor defensively, right? You can't have lapses because he's not out there on the floor. You have to see how they respond in this particular situation. And it's a tough spot, right? But to your point, South Carolina is not a team that should beat you, even if you are missing your most critical component. You have to show that you are built for this as we get closer to conference tournament time and then the NCAA tournament. If you are to give people any kind of hope whatsoever that you can be a basketball team that matters during the month of March.
I wonder if he can even be available for the first weekend. Like a high ankle sprain, that is not like a 2-week situation. If that is indeed what it is, which is a Jeff Goodman report, Tennessee basketball continues to call it a right leg injury. He heard it a week ago against Missouri, re-aggravated it Saturday against Alabama, so you're giving yourself a little less than 3 weeks between the Alabama game and the first game of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, so these things happen, right? And it's unfortunate. There's a bunch of stud players in the Big 12 that are going to miss some time. We've talked about that before. This is not an uncommon thing, especially when you've played. I mean, what are they through 29 games at this point in time? It's a lot of basketball on those bodies. So now's your time to step up. It's a tough task, but I think that you really have to show some level of versatility here. If you're Rick Barnes and that coaching staff, to put these players in the best possible position to succeed. And then ultimately they have to perform. If they lay down against South Carolina, because that's the thing that's been most disappointing, just talking from a personal standpoint. I mean, you guys went with me to Bloomington to watch that Northwestern game. My basketball team just lays down when they're beaten against Purdue, Illinois, the other night against Michigan State, against Northwestern. It's just that damn DeVries chucking up a bunch of garbage at the end of the game. Like, other than that, my basketball team has quit in several different moments, and that disgusts me. I don't think that a Rick Barnes coach team is going to do that, but I do not think that you cannot have any lapse as we move forward, especially with Vanderbilt as the regular season finale, because the Commodores are going to want to get back at them and have, without Ament, they have a definitively better squad.
Yeah, I mean, Nate was a huge difference in that Vanderbilt game. Hit that shot late, kind of that mid-range floater with a minute to go to give Tennessee a late lead at Memorial Gym in what was a big win. So, yeah, huge blow, obviously. I feel like we did not give enough credence to just how comical that Indiana meltdown was in the second half.
Oh.
Like, I don't think we gave it the attention it deserves, Robert.
You are welcome to talk more about Indiana basketball, even if it's at my expense.
Whether it was the collapse in terms of the three-point shooting, the lack of any ability to do anything in the post, the horrendous officiating against Indiana, the game-tying shot being flailed up by the coach's son while he's being hacked in the process, and then the referees sprinting, making a beeline to the tunnel as they get rained down with boos. But
that place erupted. That was as loud as it was all game, is the boos at the end of that game. No, nothing more comical than that failed alley-oop attempt. That you had the place ready to get on its feet.
Never had a chance.
Just poop themselves.
It couldn't have been. Like, the first half was good. They scored 45 first half points, and I'm like, oh, this is best case scenario. We come to a game at Assembly Hall. They're having a good performance. Crowd is packed. They're into it. And then the second half happened, and I was like, no, this is best case scenario. To be able to just look around and watch people horrified, even though this has been happening for 3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 decades.
But I did gain I knew Indiana had a large fan base, especially when it comes to basketball, but I did gain a great appreciation. I saw myself in them quite a good bit, watching Indiana fans continue to show up for this team despite them doing what they did.
I've said that the parallels between Indiana basketball and Tennessee football are 1-to-1. Essentially, and I used to call Tom Crean our Butch Jones, but now I pray for the day that Tom Crean coached my basketball team for the way that it looks right now. What, Robert?
I also gained a new respect for Nick Martinelli of Northwestern.
This damn number 2 for Northwestern. I hate him.
Baller.
He's going to be a second-round pick in the NBA draft.
He's the only player that did a damn bit of anything in that game.
I think that I'm going to have to make because ECU is not good. They will never be good in basketball. I think I have to adopt Northwestern as my new college basketball team.
Well, it's in keeping with your purple theme.
I wouldn't have to change. The wardrobe stays the same. What's the Northwestern's mascot? Is it something cool?
Wildcat?
I can deal with that.
That sounds right.
I can deal with that.
Well, of course, no, but then you have to adopt a level of pomposity that comes with rooting for a Northwestern sports team like Mike Greenberg or
do they not have rednecks?
Mike Wilbon, not in the suburbs of Chicago. I feel like
redneck.
I feel like those are few and far between.
Let's see what Google AI
No, they're very
says.
rich, very waspy.
It says the 11 most redneck cities in the U.S. Where are they at?
They're in Chicago. Not Chicago. Chicago very not redneck.
Chicago didn't even make the list, dude. Nashville's number 4.
Redneck?
Yeah, that's what it says. Not a bad showing at at all for the most reluctant member of the Confederacy. Quote, look at us, South Carolina. You might, but probably won't hear
You think
him say.
you think that's a bragging point for somebody somewhere in the city? We were the most reluctant member of the Confederacy.
Just edged out Tulsa, Oklahoma, whose first motto
just
was
had a bust of Nathan Bedford Forrest in the state capitol for a number of years.
Tulsa, Oklahoma's original motto was America's most beautiful city, which has slightly changed to oil capital of the world.
Drill, baby, drill, right? And then the line. Anyway. Who is on the table for the Titans at 4? Actually, because they are the betting favorite to land Jeremiyah Love, the Notre Dame running back, but there are a number of players who would be viable there. We'll talk about them coming up next.
All right. We've got some variety finally in these mock drafts.
That Tuesday sounds like Lucas's level of enthusiasm to do a mock draft segment Tuesday.
No, but I'm enthused.
You were trying to fake it. You were trying to fake it for your buddy back there. I could tell.
I come in this morning. I see that Mike Sando has his NFL Anonymous Executives mock draft after the scouting combine in Indy. I see that Jordan Reed of ESPN has his latest mock draft. I see that Lance Zierlein of NFL.com has one as well. And we've got some new names. We've got a few creative twists here with the number 4 overall pick and not just your rinse, repeat Ruben Bain, which, for what it's worth, is who Jordan Reed mocks to the Titans at number 4 overall in his ESPN mock draft. But it prompts a discussion. How many feasible names are there on the table for the Titans at number 4 overall? Last year, after the combine, it was all right. It's Cam Ward, and especially after free agency, right? For me, what was the defining moment for you guys? Was there one? For me, it was when they signed Brandon Allen. Like, all right, Cam Ward, you are a Tennessee Titan.
They give up. We're not even going to try and fake it at this point in time, because at that point, I mean, Mike Borgonzi, I can't remember if he said it with us or if he said it in a press conference. He said it at some point that they got to the combine and they're like, yeah, we'll just take Cam.
Yeah.
Like the Giants are trying to, gaslight the Rams into trading Matt Stafford and all these other things that are going on. Let's just take Cam and be done with it.
So as I mentioned, Reed mocked Ruben Bailey. Mike Sando. So he speaks to executives in Indianapolis throughout the course of the week and then puts together a mock draft based on, what he hears from these people. Basically asking them, hey, who could you see the Titans, the Lions, whoever taking here? And he kind of picks and chooses and builds a mock draft out of it. He has, of course, Mendoza 1, Arvell Reese out of Ohio State 2 to the Jets, David Bailey out of Texas Tech 3 to the Cardinals, Carnell Tate 4 to the Titans. He writes 2 executives still had the Titans selecting Tate here. The other 2 had them taking Keldrick Falk.
I hate that.
Me too.
At 4 overall?
Yes. Now, Sando writes, I went with Tate over Falk after consulting a 5th executive who said he did not see Keldrick Falk as a first-round talent.
Get out of here.
Quote, he's too big, long, and versatile with good character not to go in the top 10, one of the execs slotting Falk to the Titans said. The character apparently sounds like it's a huge plus for Keldrick Falk. People are in love with the person, but I'm with you. That reeks of
the Shamar Stewart guy.
Yeah.
Like I don't want the big traitsy project player.
Yeah.
For Cam Ward, if you're trying to turn that defensive front, however good a person he might be, I don't want to discount the character component of that. And we're going to get to some Mike Borgonzi stuff about lessons that he's learned across he's coming up on, 16 years in Kansas City? So he's damn near been in the league in some kind of personnel evaluation role for 2 decades, okay? He had a good quote with McShay about learning lessons from his time, his almost 2 decades in the NFL. And that's, we're just trying to learn. We're trying to learn more about who Mike Borgonzi is and what the Titans organization is going to be in his image, right? These are little things along the way that further inform what the Tennessee Titans aspire to be.
Again, Mike Sando in the mock draft does not have Falk at 4. He has Carnell Tate at 4, right. But he mentions that 2 of the 5 executives he spoke to selected Keldrick Falk in this spot.
Are those executives still employed?
Yeah, I don't know.
Former executives?
He does not
specify. That's, what kind of executive. It's like... what hotel chain? The executive suites and motels,
Right.
The executive of janitorial services for the New Orleans Saints.
You do need to stop discounting the janitorial staff. They have very important jobs in those buildings.
Sando continues, as a general rule, team builders think GMs who are early in the building process should not target wide receivers. But the thinking here is Tennessee has already invested considerable draft capital in its O-line, and that Tate could help them support second-year quarterback Cam Ward. Tate is good, another executive said. No mention on current or former or what field, whether football or otherwise.
A technological executive.
He's like A.J. Green, but more of a deep ball threat, probably. Selecting for defense could also make sense for a team badly in need of pass rush help while switching schemes under a new defensive-minded coach. Another quote from an executive, they need receivers. I know that. Dable will want an offensive player. They took Neighbors when he was with the Giants. That guy in this draft is Jordan Tyson. Sando finishes by saying the Titans could go in many directions, in other words.
Well, that's the thing, and somebody in the chat on YouTube where you can interact with the show points out, Keldrick Falk, Sam on YouTube writes, is one of the only ways that they can get this pick wrong. And that's been kind of the way that I've been thinking about. Like, there's not a lot of ways that they could screw this up, right? Unless they do that. And I don't want to be completely out on a player. Obviously, they'll have more information than we could ever possibly have, given the level of time and investment and resources that NFL teams expend on scouting these players, okay?
Yeah.
So if they take Keldrick Falk 4th overall, they think he's something great, and the rest of the league is sleeping on him. But that is the thing that will get them at least optically crushed.
This is a guy who had 10 sacks in 3 years at Auburn, 7 his second year, 2 in 2025. Talk about Keldrick Falk not being utilized in the way that he should have been at Auburn last year. But again, the traits, he's 6'6", 285, the great character. But I'm with you, man. The last thing I want is the guy that doesn't have the production, that doesn't have the true sample size of playing at that position, and the guy that is a projection, a gamble at what is a critical selection for the Titans at number 4 overall. So
let's talk about Tate, okay? Because I put it out on a poll at Buck Rising is where you can vote on them. And the polls, if you give people options to vote on, it only allows you 4, okay? So I only picked 4 players. There are more than 4 players that can be considered at number 4 overall, correct? Depending on how this draft breaks, because there are players ahead of the Titans or teams ahead of the Titans currently in the draft. For example, if Arvell Reese all of a sudden was available at 4, I think he would be viable for a number of people. Even if his best position ends up being off-ball linebacker, I still think that's viable for a team that's got needs at literally every position. So the 4 that I put in the poll options are Reuben Bain Jr., David Bailey, Jeremiyah Love, and Sonny Styles. Okay? Those are 4 who I think I would be good with any of the 4 at number 4 overall. If you are a Titans fan and you feel differently, you are welcome to chime in. Do we consider Carnell Tate, who every personnel evaluator in the league is telling us is probably not worthy of the number 4 overall pick in a standard draft? Is receiver so important here in Tennessee that you would be willing to overdraft Carnell Tate? I would like to know what options they have as they get, on the clock in that particular situation. Like, would another team be willing to come up to get one of these pass rushers at that point? Could you get Tate at 6? I mean, who's sitting at 6 right now? Giants are 5. Who's 6?
Who's
6.
7?
Oh. 6 is Cleveland, who Mike Sando's executive mock has picking Spencer Fano.
And they take Fano because the number 1 tackle is off the board. So hypothetically, if they were trading up, they would be coming up for Maui Noah.
Yeah.
I could not remember that cast.
And the
name.
executives have Bain at 7 here in this mock draft.
They need, in Cleveland, an offensive tackle. Who's 7?
The Commanders.
The Commanders.
Who's 8?
8 is New Orleans, who they have picking Mekhi Lemon. And 9 is Kansas City, who they have picking Jeremiyah Love. That's as far. And then at 10.
What about 10? Yeah.
10, they have Cincinnati taking Peter Woods, the D tackle out of Clemson, and that's where the mock draft ends. It's just a top 10 polling executives in the NFL.
So I'm just saying, are we overthinking this? Is Carnell Tate one of these, like as Dane Brugler described to us on the show last week, just take good football players?
Right.
Are we lumping? Carnell Tate is exactly what people expected him to be. He's not the fastest player in the world, but he's not going to win, he's not going to win that way as a player. He's got a very specific skill set. He's nuanced enough in his route running. He makes big plays down the field via contested catch. Maybe he's not a burner in the traditional sense, but in a good enough offense, can you create space for him? And there is evidence of him being able to separate. Maybe he's not the best separator in the world, but again, you're combining scheme with the player's skill set to try and help him create that separation. It's not just on the player to do that. So
my thing on Carnell Tate is he lived in an offense with Jeremiah Smith, who many consider to be the best wide receiver prospect we've seen since insert name here, and manage to thrive in that offense and see his production go up a tick in almost every category in that offense from 2024 to 2025.
Okay, so is Tate viable at number 4 overall? I'm going to say no. Your thoughts?
Yes, he's viable. Absolutely, he's viable. He is on the table 100%. And it comes down to preference and fit and who's the better player. We don't know how the top 3 is going to shake out ahead of the Titans. Maybe Bailey is gone. Maybe Arvell Reese is gone. If that's who they love, they're at 4. You can do worse than Carnell Tate at number 4 overall, in my opinion.
It's not a question of could you do worse. It's how much better can you do, even if it's not a player at a. It is a dire position of need. Nobody's turning their nose up at the idea that you can kick the can down the road at wide receiver. No, their wide receiver situation sucks. Okay, and maybe you're excited about Chimere Dike. I think there's completely viable reasons to be excited about Chimere Dike, but the rest of it is just kind of like, God, I hope this works if you're a Titans fan. Where Ellick is still whatever. Calvin, you're praying that he's not only available, but that he is confident enough at his specific situation to be a meaningful contributor and to, frankly, not let Cam Ward down. And then you're just throwing flyers at the Bryce Olivers of the world.
There's 2 different conversations here. Is he viable in that, do you want him at 4? That's one conversation.
I do not want him at 4.
Is he viable in that? Is he on the table? Is he a possibility for the Titans at 4? Absolutely he is.
Robert?
There's several players that are.
Yeah, no, Lucas took the words right out of my mouth because the value conversation is one, okay, is that too high to take a wide receiver of that caliber? I think you're looking at historical evidence versus what this draft really is.
Sure.
And then the other side of this, can you get excited about this guy? Would they take him, and would you be excited about it? I think the answer would be yes. You would convince yourself if he was taken at 4 that, okay, I trust Mike Borgonzi. This is me saying this, not you guys or fans.
Yeah.
I trust Mike Borgonzi. If Mike saw something that he thought, I want Tate over Bain, I want Tate over all of these other guys, then I would get excited about it. I would trust Mike Borgonzi, who's done this, as you talked about, 16 times now. If he thought that was the best value at 4, I would be amicable to that situation.
And I'm willing to give him benefit of the doubt, even as we're still, in the infancy of his tenure here. But I don't want to have to do any kind of mental gymnastics on a player at number 4 overall. Like, I don't want to have to talk myself into anybody. I want to know. I know that Carnell Tate is a good player. I know that Carnell Tate is a good player. I know it's a position of need. I know that that's enough of a justification to take the player.
But important clarification here. Judgments will be passed, obviously, after draft day, after draft weekend. But the idea of, I want to know, we're not going to know. We're not going to know until we have a sample size of this player in the NFL, of any of these players, right? Like, we can pass that judgment of, I can't believe they took Carnell Tate with David Bailey on the board and call it a botched draft pick. And then fast forward 2 years and Bailey is on a practice squad and Carnell Tate is, back-to-back 1,000-yard receiver. Like, we don't know and we won't know for quite some time. Still, though, for the purposes of discussion, absolutely judgments can be passed, and we can talk about needs and personal preferences.
Yeah, it's how much more talking yourself into it do you have to do for one versus the other.
Let me throw some names at you guys, and you tell me if this is a player that is on the table for the Titans at 4. Not whether or not you want them to draft them or if you would like them to, but is it somebody that the Titans could feasibly select?
Okay.
Arvell Reese.
Yes.
Assuming he's there, obviously. David Bailey.
Yes.
Ruben Bain.
Yes.
Keldrick Falk.
No.
You don't think that is even on the table? It is not viable.
Oh, no, I don't want to speak for them. But I think at number 4,
I agree. I wouldn't like it either, but again, we are talking about,
is it for them?
Is there a scenario where Keldrick Falk is the number 4 selection by the Titans?
I would be stunned. Right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think that they're at 3. There are only 3 possible players that are gone before you. I don't think you would be able to convince me that there wasn't an edge that would be better suited for the Titans to take at 4.
They're all more productive than he is.
I don't think he would be in their bucket. Because he's just an as you talked about with Stewart, an underdeveloped pass rusher who doesn't really fill his pads out as well as he should. He still needs to add weight, still needs to learn things. I couldn't conceive a scenario where he would be in the bucket at 4.
Okay.
I'm with you. Again, we are still learning. This draft is going to inform us in very meaningful ways about who Mike Borgonzi is and how he sees this roster. But as we sit here today, what we know, I would be stunned if Keldrick Falk was an option.
Again, there are the executives that Mike Sando talked to, multiple, picked Falk to the Titans at 4. But
no, I know.
Generally, I'm with you guys.
Jeremiah Love. I would say yes.
Carnell Tate. Is it feasible the Titans would take Carnell Tate at 4?
Yes.
Is it feasible the Titans would draft Jordan Tyson at 4?
If they consider him to be the best wide receiver in the draft, it is feasible.
And I wouldn't say there's any true consensus on who wide receiver 1 is in this draft at this point.
Again, I think it depends on what's already on your roster, but we understand how bare the cupboard of the Titans is.
Is Sonny Styles conceivable at 4?
Hell yes.
Is Francis Maui Noah?
Hell yes. He should, right?
How about this?
If they took an offensive lineman at 4, I think the fan base, or at least a loud minority of the fan base, would poop themselves on Twitter. But that offensive line, it can still use work. I'm good with him if he's playing interior at 4.
Caleb Downs, which there's some news on him that we'll talk about, injury stuff.
Well, that's important.
It is important, but let's say the medicals, this is, again, assuming the player is available and the medicals are okay. Downs would be feasible at 4. And then here's a new twist with Lance Zierlein of NFL.com, who in his latest mock draft has LSU corner Mansour Delane at number 4 overall to the Titans.
People love him.
He writes,
Purcell and Mina both glow over his tape at LSU.
And for what it's worth, he's got McCoy out of Tennessee going 5 to the Giants right after. And Zierlein writes about Delane, he lacks top-end physical traits, but his coverage skills are the best you will find in this year's draft. Tennessee feels a big need for new coach Robert Saleh.
Well, Robert Saleh spoke to the opposite of what Lance Zierlein just said, because Robert Saleh said if you don't like contact, you're not going to play for our defense. So that would I wouldn't say that it would completely rule out Mansour Delane. I'm just saying they would go outside of what they're saying their type is. 615-737-1045 is the number. We'll get to Oh No here in just a second. Robert, what do we have to give away for Oh No? Not yet, because I want to take some calls here.
Wait, you don't want me to tell you what it is?
No, I'm saying I don't want people to, we're not doing Oh No just yet. I want to take some calls on the draft stuff first.
Okay, how about I give you half of what we're giving away, and I'll give you the other half after the calls.
Okay, what's the first half?
Brooks.
Nice.
Ooh.
Then when we're done, I'll tell you the other part.
Okay, and that's not even the $100 gift card from A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. Dylan is in Hermitage.
Hey, guys. Real quick, I'm not going to take a bunch of time, but I think that running back is probably the easiest position, and I may be totally wrong. It just seems like the easiest to plug into a system versus a quarterback, a wide receiver, defensive player. And I think that they're undervalued. So I think that the Titans getting a great running back, they're going to need it at some point. Maybe not this year, but hopefully in the next year or two. That's going to be something that is needed for them when they get the offensive line scheduled and everything else in line.
I agree. They need a great running game. It doesn't have to be a great player necessarily, but they need something like that to support Cam. Chuck.
Great player would be cool.
Yeah, sure.
After free agency, of course, but if there's only one player in my mind as a no doubt, no-brainer pick, and he would help both the offense and the defense, and that's Jeremiyah Love, because he helped the defense because he would help keep the offense on the field. His third down ability is tremendous. His breakaway speed is tremendous. He's DeMar Gibbs and Bijan Robinson to me. So I think Jeremiyah Love is the only no-brainer pick in the draft.
I think there are some people that would disagree with you, but I understand your perspective. All right.
Fans on the Love train.
What's the other half of the giveaway?
Dunn.
Brooks and Dunn.
Brooks and Dunn,
Tickets
baby.
for Brooks and Dunn and a $100 gift card to A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. If you call in 615-737-1045 and tell us what in sports made you say, oh no, what?
Important caveat. That is the first football weekend, correct?
It is.
September 12th. So
Saturday before, well, we will have had NFL games, but it is the first full weekend of the regular season.
So hypothetically, if the Titans were at home, you could have a crazy banger weekend of Brooks and Dunn on Saturday, Titans on Sunday, if you play your cards right. And tell us what made you say, oh no.
Next. for the opportunity to win 2 tickets to Brooks and Dunn in September and a $100 gift card to A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. What in sports made you say, oh, no? We got to rattle through these because we got a lot of calls. Mine is Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson. They are planning to fight in 2026. Floyd Mayweather is 49 years old. Mike Tyson is even older than that. The last Mike Tyson-Jake Paul thing made me very, very sad, where Jake Paul was just clearly carrying an old man to make sure that they both received the payday at the end. I do not want to see Floyd Mayweather anymore. I do not want to see Mike Tyson anymore, other than, if they make another Hangover spinoff or something like that. I am done with the old people and the boxing, even though I understand there are giant paydays to be had for both people involved. You will not get my money this time.
Was that an exhibition or is it a real fight?
They're saying it's a real fight.
Okay. Because
this spring.
When Mike fought one of the Paul brothers, it was an exhibition and not a technical real fight. So I didn't know if him and Money would agree to that.
I am scrolling through TMZ Sports right now. They do not specify whether it would be a real fight or an exhibition in this particular situation. But I know that the money that they will ask people to pay will be real.
I would much rather watch Mike Tyson fight. Like, how many regular people could he knock out before his body gave out?
He's just so old.
He's
several.
He's still got so much power.
Oh yeah,
man.
no. If he catches you clean, you're dead. That's going to be unpleasant for you.
What made me say, oh, no, in sports this past week, statute of limitations starts last Wednesday. So I'm going back to last Wednesday with our friend Scoob, Titans fan Scoob.
This is good.
Who many of you have seen around, whether at Titans training camp games, whatever. He's got the full Titans onesie with the Jason mask.
I hope he has multiple of those.
Day one, I hope so too. Day one listener of the show, of the Zone in general. We love and appreciate Scoob, but he tweeted on February 25th, "Man, I am hyped. My Tavondre Sweat signed helmet came in today. Let's go." And it's a matte black Titans helmet
with a signature.
With a signature on the top and a certificate of authenticity that came with it. February 26th, Tavondre Sweat is traded to the New York Jets in exchange for edge rusher Jermaine Johnson. And Scoob quote tweeted his own post of the helmet and just said, "Well, damn, haha, he was traded to the Jets." Scoob, I'm sorry for laughing at your expense.
That's so good.
But it was undeniably funny how that panned out for you yesterday for him to get traded literally the morning after you received the helmet.
At your literal expense, because those things aren't cheap, right? Like, I've never bought anything like that before. I assume you have to buy these things.
I don't know why the certificate of authenticity, like the Titans official stamp.
It's funnier.
Certificate next to the helmet made it so much funnier.
It makes it funnier. Robert.
The thing that made me say, oh, no, in sports, were you guys aware that Nintendo re-released Fire Red and Leaf Green?
Pokemon.
Yes, to the Switch.
I am only because you are.
So if you're unfamiliar, Fire Red and Blue, or Red and Blue, were the first Pokemon games to come out in Pokemon lineage. They remade those games in the 2000s, and now they have re-released these games now so you can play them on the Switch. What made me say, oh no, is the fact that you still have to be right next to somebody to trade. I have Pokemon that need to be evolved. Their prerequisites for evolving are that they have to be traded. Kadabra to turn into Alakazam has to be traded. Haunter to turn into Gengar has to be traded. And I put out a tweet yesterday. Who in Nashville has Fire Red or Leaf Green on a Switch and wants to help me evolve these Pokemon? I got no responses. No one wants to help me catch them all.
Your Twitter interaction have all dried up now.
No, I got likes, but no DMs. I need someone out there.
I told you I bought a Nintendo Switch a couple of years ago.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, it's sitting somewhere in a cabinet.
Bring it
in my
here
house.
with $22 so I can buy Fire Red so I can trade with myself. Someone out there, DM me.
Why don't you let me know what it's worth to me, and then we can.
It's $22. What is $22 worth to you? What, you want some new imaging?
It's a little less than a cocktail at Ellen Jackson.
I need
you know
someone.
What? You get me a good guest, and I will find my Nintendo Switch in the charger somewhere, because I don't think I've touched it since that flight to LA.
I can't wait that long. I need it now. I'm losing base stats every second that he's not Alakazam. Someone out there DM me, come to the radio station, meet me out front, whatever have you. I need a trade.
All right. Very good. Let's start with Joey in Cheatham County.
Yes, I'm going to start with Nate Ament. I am a battered ball over the years. I'm in my 40s, so all the hoopla over the off season with Nate Ament, and then after watching him at the beginning of the season, and he struggled a little bit, but he's really taken off and turned into a heck of a player. And then here we are right before the SEC tournament, and he's got an ankle sprain. So I'm going to say that's my no.
Yeah, it's a gut punch for Vols fan. Thank you, Joey.
Stay strong, Joey.
Remember to stay on hold. Yeah, there's a support group. Lucas leads it every Wednesday afternoon. Jeffrey is in Mount Juliet.
Yeah, I just mine is Kim Caldwell and the Lady Vols, and how they're just really awful right now and lost 6 games in a row, and it's just really depressing.
Is she going? Thank you for the call, Jeffrey. Is she going to keep her job?
Man, I don't know. I don't know.
6 straight is crazy.
Yeah, it's 0 defense being played.
Yeah.
The team. You hate to see the team looks like it's kind of giving up on her, but she has said the team looks like it's quitting on her. So there's really no other way to look at that.
And that's, I mean, whose fault is that? Darren is in Brentwood.
What's up, guys? I'm going to go with, we'll go to Little Caesars Arena. Pistons Cavaliers on the 27th. With about 9 minutes left in the third, there was a power surge in the stadium, which produced the horn on the buzzer to continuously run for close to 13 minutes, causing a 10-minute delay in the stadium.
No.
You can watch it on YouTube. They zoom in on the technician's face at the board, and he looks like he just wants to quit his job. People are yelling at him. He's sweating bullets. But, yeah, I don't know. Anyone that's been to a live basketball game, even a high school game, that buzzer is obnoxious. For 12 minutes, they had to sit there. They even tried to play, like, some weird dubstep music to, like, sync with the buzzer to get people to dance, which was not working. But, yeah, that's my no, man. I don't ever want that to happen to me. So, all right, guys.
It's great. Thank you for the call.
Is this horn, George? So, guys, I'm here at the scorer's table, and there was a complete malfunction here, electrical-wise, here at the scorer's table. You see this gentleman here working frantically to try to get everything reset. The clocks went out. The score went out across the building, and clearly you hear the horn.
He's like putting his head down as the guy's interviewing on top of him.
Obviously, here at the moment, trying to figure that out.
Remember, as a player, it was a condensation issue on the court.
It stopped.
And the crowd goes wild.
You know it was so loud in person, too.
Oh, my God.
It's like the Nazgul screech in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, everybody in the crowd's like, covering their ears.
What a reference by you.
Love when you can pull Lord of the Rings out.
Jordan in Nashville is next. I still haven't watched them.
Hey, guys. My no is a Seahawks fan who ordered a Seahawks Super Bowl hat. However, the back of the hat is a Patriots logo. Hey, fanatics, do better with this stuff y'all send out.
Just in general, fanatics. And Zach in chat, the last submission.
Hey, Buck. My no for this week is Bruce Pearl, the greatest basketball men's coach Tennessee's ever had, and his comments on Miami, Ohio, saying that they were not an outright team and they have to win their conference.
Thank you for the call. I think Rick Barnes holds that designation. People are calling for Bruce Pearl to be pulled off television.
He caught a lot of flack for that.
Not for his tweets, but for his thoughts on
29-0 Miami of Ohio.
Yeah,
saying they should be left out if they don't win their conference.
That's pretty crazy. I would have picked Darren for the Pistons-Cavs power surge, but I guess he didn't want the tickets.
Not a Brooks and Dunn guy, I suppose.
I'm gonna say Jeffrey with the Lady Vols. The Lady Vols situation is really, really bad. So
Didn't Joey do that as well?
No, Joey
had Ament.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
A couple of back-to-back BVS cases, but the Lady Vols actually are giving people BVS. So we'll see if we can't make Jeffrey feel a little better with those Brooks and Dunn tickets and a $100 gift card to a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa, who make this segment possible each and every week. Tai Simpson, is he rising up the draft boards post-combine? We'll talk about it next. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you like they've helped so many other guys over the course of the last decade plus. Because if you're noticing issues with ED or performance, your relationship, your confidence, and even your career may have already been affected. Online folks promise convenience and discretion, but their treatments are generic, some even unsafe. Guys, no more excuses. Tennessee Men's Clinic is the state's first men's health-focused urology practice with multiple urologists and providers focused solely on male performance. No unproven snake oil or peptides without solid research. Since 2014, they've pioneered men's health in Tennessee and have been testing and growing to make sure you get the best care and the safest, most effective treatments. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or book online in under 30 seconds at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
11:03. Good morning from the Circa Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. The NFL franchise tag window closes today at 3 p.m. Central Time, and Ian Rappaport has reported that the Jets are franchise tagging running back Breece Hall as they continue to work on a contract. He joins Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens and Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts as the only players so far to receive the tag. The Nashville Predators fell at home Monday to the Red Wings 4-2. They have dropped 4 of their last 5, now are 4 points back of a wild card spot. It's a quick turnaround today. The Preds visit the Blue Jackets for a 6 p.m. puck drop. College hoops, number 23 Tennessee is on the road at South Carolina today. Star freshman Nate Ament is out with the right leg injury. Jeff Goodman reporting it is a high ankle sprain. Tip-off tonight is at 5. Vol Network coverage will be joined in progress at 5:30. And number 24 Vanderbilt is on the road at Ole Miss tonight. 8 p.m. is the tip. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
So there's not much debate about quarterbacks in the upcoming NFL draft. It's Fernando Mendoza as the top quarterback available, in all likelihood going at number 1 to the Las Vegas Raiders. And then there's Tai Simpson, who is squarely the second best quarterback prospect available to teams. But the question, the debate becomes, all right, who's going to take him? And will he be a player that actually has an opportunity to start right away for a franchise? Is he more of a developmental situation, given the small sample size of him actually playing in college? He was in college for a considerable period of time. And then there's a couple of analysts in Todd McShay, who studies the draft and college prospects year-round, and Dan Orlovsky, the former NFL quarterback, who is also now an ESPN commentator, somebody who also calls. Orlovsky's still doing college games, right? He's still doing analysis for college games, like Louis Riddick does.
Yeah, every once in a while.
I see him on a college game from time to time. Anyway, did you see McShay and Orlovsky's commentary around Tai Simpson and Fernando Mendoza?
Yes, they love Tai.
McShay put out an interesting message on social media saying through 8 games, Tai Simpson's tape is better than Fernando Mendoza's. And immediately the commentary becomes, okay, why only 8 games? Why is that the necessary sample size for you to make that kind of a proclamation about a guy who's not being thought of as, who's being talked about as a, middling to fringe first-round player, versus the guy who, by consensus, is going to be the number 1 overall pick? Orlovsky basically doing the same thing, saying on Twitter, studying the first 5 games of Mendoza's tape, it's not what I expected so far, and then expanding upon that in I believe this appearance was on First Take, where he was pressed about this by Stephen A. Smith, and a debate then broke out, as these things often do, on First Take. He says, I think through 8 games, a similar opinion, Tai Simpson's tape from Alabama through the first 8 games of the season, I think it is significantly more impressive than Fernando Mendoza's. I just haven't watched the back half of the season yet. I just haven't gotten to those. So it's a half-baked opinion, but I think that's fair because, I was talking to coaches on Thursday night who said they'd gotten through 50 players. Like the amount of time that it takes coaches to catch up on this stuff versus the people who are tasked with evaluating prospects all year long. Yeah, they're also kind of playing a bit of catch up here. They just got done coaching an NFL season for the most part. So, is Tai Simpson going to be drafted higher than any of us think, given the need for quarterbacks? How many teams have a dire need at quarterback right now? It's probably a good 10 of the 32 that have a legitimately dire need at the most important position. Is that plus the tape against the best competition in college football, even though the Big Ten continues to win titles, the SEC is still, I think, on a weekly basis, the greatest competition in the regular season. Is Tai Simpson going to be drafted in the first half of the first round? Or are we still thinking middling to fringe first-round pick post-combine?
I'll be surprised if he's not drafted in the first half of the first round at this point. And I'm surprised it's taken this long to talk about Tai Simpson in this sort of regard. First 8 games of the season that Orlovsky points out, 20 touchdowns, 1 interception, including an excellent performance on the road against Georgia in a win. Now, they did see Georgia again in the SEC championship and probably had their worst offensive outing of the season, barring the blowout loss to IU in the Rose Bowl.
And he got hurt. I don't put that on him.
Yeah, Tai Simpson got banged up for sure towards the end of the year. I stand by if you flipped the first 8 games, and let's see, they played 15 games, and the last 7 games. If you took the first half of Tai Simpson's season and made it
the look on your face,
the second half of his season,
7,
I think he'd be talked about as like the number 2 overall pick in this draft. I really do. I am confused at the fact that saying Tai Simpson is a top 10, top 15 caliber quarterback in this draft is like a hot take at this point in the process.
Todd McShay on his podcast or a different appearance, Robert?
This was on Up and Adams, but he has echoed this on his podcast.
Let's hear from draft analyst Todd McShay on Tai Simpson.
I'm a big Tai Simpson fan, despite the 6'1", the injuries, and the 15 starts. But I'm already starting to hear people like, could he go as high as Cleveland?
Really?
Sitting there at 6. And I hope for Tai Simpson he does not become a Cleveland Brown. They don't have the protection. They don't have the weapons. I'd love to see him with the Rams. They pick at 13 to the first of their 2 picks. But it's fascinating to see a guy who has gastritis, got beat up all year long. His number 1 wide receiver disappeared in Ryan Williams. They had like the 126th best rushing attack at Alabama, which like Bear Bryant's rolling over in his grave. And it all fell apart at the end of the year. But I think he's different. And I think that there's some teams out there that are just trying to be really quiet about it, because everyone's talking about Mendoza and then the rest of the quarterbacks suck. It's just not the deal. And Tai Simpson's going to go somewhere in the first, and it won't shock me if it's in the top 15.
Rams are 13, he says.
That would be a great landing spot for him.
That would be ideal.
Oh, man, I don't know if you could draw up a better landing spot for Tai Simpson than the Rams in the first round.
I also want to add the caveat. He's not saying that the Browns should take him at 6. He's saying that he could go as high as 6. He notes on his podcast from last week that he would hate to see him go to the Browns. No offensive line, no dominant receiver. The only run game that you have is a piece of Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson. It would almost be eerily similar to what he had at Alabama when he was not exactly as successful as you would thought he'd be. So, like, he notes all of that to say he's a talented guy. He needs to be in the right system, but I could see him go that high.
Man, I think the 15 starts being a knock against Simpson is a tad overblown.
I don't think it's a knock against him. I think it's something that just has to be taken into consideration. We've only seen this guy play 15 games. I don't think that's a knock.
It's more a knock against him than it is something in his favor.
Well,
the fact
it
that
doesn't
he's
help him
only
that there's a
started
smaller
15
sample
games.
size, but it doesn't mean it's an outright knock. It's just a consideration.
It's a smaller sample size of games, but he has been in college for 4 years, right? I mean, he has been developing at Alabama against premier first-round talent, even on the scout team, for multiple years before he got his opportunity and then took it and ran with it.
So if I wanted to actually knock him, I'd say, well, he wasn't as good as any of the players that they had in front of him.
Bryce Young,
Jalen Milroe.
These are all good players. Now, Milroe's an interesting case study there, right? Because that's very much more traits over actual refinement at the quarterback position. But, you know, Tai Simpson wasn't able to beat out the competition that he had in front of him. And if he spent all that time developing, and that's the 15 games that we got, is he closer to his ceiling than another player might actually be? Or, with additional opportunities to play, is there more there? It feels like we might be closer to a finished product on Tai Simpson, which is why the 15 games is a consideration, because you don't know.
And while I agree with Lucas that that 15 starts is holding him down as a prospect, here are the quarterbacks since 2016 with less than 20 starts that have been drafted in the first 3 rounds. Kyler Murray. So we could say that's a hit. He may not have been exceptional, but it was a hit.
He got a contract.
Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Dwayne Haskins, Mitch Trubisky, Anthony Richardson, Tai Simpson, Davis Mills.
Very mixed bag.
Well, it's really just Kyler and Mac, right? And Mac Jones, had to go through Joe Judge and Matt Patricia as OCs.
Davis Mills is a solid backup, and the majority of those guys did not do what they were drafted to do. And that's be a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and again, the situation, like if he goes to Cleveland, he's going to fail. If he goes to L.A., he's going to be in a good spot.
If he goes to the Jets, he's going to fail.
If he goes to the Jets. Geography is such an important consideration for any of these players, regardless of position, but especially if you're talking about quarterback.
But to say Tai Simpson, how did you phrase it? I don't want to say it a different way. That he's a finished product? Or
is he closer to his ceiling than any of these other developmental guys might be if he's been in college that long and struggled to break through?
Yeah, maybe he's closer to his ceiling, but to say anybody is a finished, done and dusted product, that what they are now is as good as they are going to be, I always think is insane.
No, none of them arrive in the NFL, good, bad, or indifferent, as finished products.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I would not be stunned if the Arizona Cardinals traded away Kyler Murray and drafted Tai Simpson number 3 overall.
No.
He's
3 overall?
He's the second best quarterback in this draft, and he is not like a Kenny Pickett level quarterback prospect. He is a quarterback from one of, if not the premier college football program of the last 10, 20 years, whatever. Lucas. He had a hugely productive year. He had some really good tape that, like you pointed out, Orlovsky says is better than Mendoza's best last year. People this time last year, even right after the combine, I think, thought it would be insane for Jackson Dart to go ahead of Shedeur Sanders. We try to write into stone this early in the draft process the things that we think will and won't happen, and then months go by, and it's a completely different story when the draft rolls around. Like, I can post something to you, and you say, no, that's crazy. But
3 overall is objectively crazy.
Great. Last year, 5th-round pick for Shedeur Sanders would have been an objectively crazy thing to say.
Absolutely. I think it's crazier that Tai Simpson would be the 3rd pick than Shedeur be a 5th-round pick.
I don't know. Why is that so insane? The second best quarterback in this draft with plenty of QB desperate teams.
There's no elite traits. There's no elite size. So not only are you not dealing with the potential for upside, you are dealing with a player that you don't really know as much about as you do a lot of these players who are available, who are freakish in their abilities, who probably have higher level traits that translate to the NFL. And you're also talking about a roster in Arizona that is not equipped to facilitate him as a third overall pick. If you draft him 3rd overall, he better start for you.
So an important caveat about the size. So at the Senior Bowl, he was not cleared to throw from injuries that he suffered while he was at Alabama. The offensive line was poor. We noted that. And he suffered from gastritis, which is inflammation of the stomach. Ugh. So that knocked his weight down to 190 at the Senior Bowl.
I'm not even talking about the weight. I'm talking he's 6'1"?
Something like that, yeah. But like if you're going off his combine measurements, his weight is lower because he is dealing with this injury. Another thing to talk about, he's talking about teams that are wanting to move in silence on this. Who are the teams in the top 20 that would make sense of moving in silence for Tai Simpson?
The Rams are trying desperately for people to just shut up about taking the quarterback because they need a Stafford succession plan that's not, Stetson Bennett on a bender.
If you were looking at a team like Miami, potentially at 11, a team like Tampa Bay at 15 that may look at Baker's year last year and say, hey, maybe we need to start having a succession plan.
What's Baker's contract situation?
I believe
that's interesting.
He's coming up on the moment they could release him and not incur any dead cap charges.
Okay.
Or minimal. And then I look at Minnesota at 18, who this whole offseason, every quarterback with a pulse has been linked to Minnesota, even Anthony Richardson, even Kyler Murray. Would they be willing to move off JJ, who the knock on him was he's an inexperienced quarterback who needed to play to get better?
The reporting was that they're taking calls
for another quarterback who needs.
If you draft him in the top 10, you better your career is staked on him. Like I just don't think knowing a little bit about Monty Allisonford from his time here, I do not think that there is a viable way in which he would take Tai Simpson with the 3rd overall pick.
He doesn't have the things that make you just fall head over heels, right?
And he has to if he's going to be a top 5 draft
Right.
pick.
I have a sort of a tinge of what's the damn word I'm looking for? Of cynicism when it comes to that part of the draft process, right? A lot of the guys that at quarterback have had the things that have teams falling head over heels have not worked. Anthony Richardson is just front and center in my mind right now.
Sure, but I'm not just talking about quarterbacks. I'm talking about if you pass on Sonny Styles for Tai Simpson, I think that's a fireable offense.
I am just of the opinion, obviously not being an expert, that Tai Simpson is just going to be a really solid starting quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, no, I bet he has an 8-year career or something like that. I bet he's in the league for the better part of a decade. I just don't think he's a 3rd overall pick. Like, that's crazy.
And to play devil's advocate, you're saying somebody has to have an elite trait. What's Fernando Mendoza's elite trait?
Right.
Well, that's the conversation.
Exactly.
Like John Spytek's job also rides on Fernando Mendoza.
Absolutely.
Can we quote Coach Mack here? There's the draft, and then
quarterback draft.
There's the quarterback draft.
The Mendoza thing, but you've got people who are nitpicking Mendoza at every turn.
I think they're just questioning if he's the guy. I think you can also say Mendoza's...
Not everything can turn into peanut butter, baby.
Mendoza's situation was also otherworldly better than what Tai Simpson was in.
His defense was awesome.
His defense was awesome.
They won the Big Ten championship game because the defense was awesome.
Correct. They also have 2 wide receivers that are going to get drafted in the top 100. They have Roman Hemby and Black both running their ass off. Like, I think if you're comparing the situations, there is an argument to be had.
No, it's completely fair. I do think, though, that he is closer to the prototypical size, which does matter in the league as far as sustainability. Like how much he is a tough MFer. Like Fernando Mendoza took a beating against NFL caliber talent at every level and found ways to beat them. Now, again, he's making plays in certain spots that are the biggest plays of the game to put them over the top in close games that they played. And there's some question about, the level of RPO offense that Indiana runs and how much that helps him where he's only having to make a singular read. So there are plenty of fair questions around Fernando Mendoza. I just think there's less of them than there is about Tai Simpson.
I just don't think Simpson has to be a top 10, quote-unquote, prospect to go in the top 10. We see it all the time with quarterbacks. All the time.
We will find out. 615-737-1045 is the number. Dan is in Lewisburg.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Well.
Good deal. Good deal. Hey, I want to mention a quarterback that I have not heard a lot of said about him. And he was at the Combine, Taylor Green. As far as physical characteristics, I think he's like 6'5", 6'6", about 225 roughly. And I think he put up some, phenomenal numbers.
He had a better vert than Richardson.
I'm sorry?
He had a better vertical jump than Anthony Richardson, who's the most athletic quarterback in the history of combine testing. I appreciate the call, Dan. It's a good point by you. We had some freakish combine testing numbers at a variety of different positions. Taylor Green out of Arkansas.
He was awesome.
Objectively. But that's the kind of thing that you're talking about, where you would have liked to see Richardson more in this day 2, end of day 2. I don't know if day 3. The question is he a quarterback at the next level? Because the athleticism, what's the quarterback from Ohio State that it took him years to finally transition into a wide receiver? He ended up being a 1,000-yard receiver for the Browns.
Yeah, Terrell Pryor.
Was it Terrell Pryor?
Yep.
Yeah, so Terrell Pryor. Is he a next-gen, more athletic Terrell Pryor? Because he keeps telling everybody at every turn that he's a quarterback. And that's fine.
Well, then throw the ball accurately.
Fair.
You watch him at the Combine, dude could not hit a target if it was right in front of him.
Yeah, so I think that he's going to have to go to a situation where they massage that over a number of, however long it takes him. Be like, hey, buddy, if you want to sustain an NFL career, you may have to really think about changing positions here.
We have franchise tag deadline day headlines across the NFL. You know, we had a great time in Indy at the NFL Scouting Combine, but I was so happy to be back home in Nashville for many reasons, chief among them, that Hattie B's is once again within a 5 to 6 mile radius of my house and probably of your house at any one of their Middle Tennessee locations, whether it is downtown on Broadway, Melrose, Midtown, Nashville West, at Geodis Park when you're watching Nashville Soccer Club this weekend taking on Minnesota United, or in the comfort of your own home when you download the Hattie B's app, order that juicy, crispy hot chicken for delivery or pickup. You can also visit HattieB.com. If you're like me, the sides are very important. Hattie B's knows that, and they practice it with the Southern greens, the pimento mac and cheese, my personal favorite, the Southern salads. You cannot go wrong with Hattie B's hot chicken. Let them fuel your watch party with the NCAA tournament coming up, the SEC tournament coming up at Bridgestone Arena. Go to HattieB.com today. All right, we've got franchise tag deadline day headlines in the NFL. The deadline is coming up at 3 p.m. Central Time, and only 3 players across the league have officially received the franchise tag. They are Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens, which we learned officially last week, Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts, which we learned a couple of weeks ago, and the latest, a name Titans fans have been tossing around, Jets running back Breece Hall has received the franchise tag.
Have they been tossing that name around?
Oh, sure. Former player of Robert Saleh is set to be a free agent coming off a productive season
Why
in
the
New
hell
York.
do they hate their running back so much? What is wrong with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears? Like, if you draft one, that's fine, but I got to pay Kenneth Walker or Breece Hall.
All right. Well, just calm down over there.
This is stupid.
Kenneth Walker is not going to be tagged, according to Adam Schefter. So there is a real chance, unless Seattle gives him a long-term deal, that he could become only the 4th player to win Super Bowl MVP and then begin the following season with a new team.
Ooh, name the other 3.
Schefter lays them out. Larry Brown, Desmond Howard, and Dexter Jackson are the only 3 Kenneth Walker could join that list. He is about to be an unrestricted free agent.
It doesn't mean that they can't get a deal done with Kenneth Walker, but it makes it seem less likely that they're going to do a deal with Kenneth Walker, right? If they wanted to, they could do what New York just did with Breece Hall and franchise tag him. Now, Robert, you brought up an interesting point about why you thought they should have used the transition tag on Breece Hall as opposed to the outright franchise tag, that it comes with a hard, guaranteed money number.
Yeah, if they were to use the transition tag, because in the report it was noted they want to get a long-term deal done with Breece Hall. If they were to do the transition tag, then other teams would have been able to make contract offers to him, and then the Jets would have been able to gauge his market and then offer him a fair market deal. I think that would have gotten him a contract much quicker than them to argue in rooms with each other and go, oh, this is what I think my value is. This is what I think I should be paid. But if you had other teams offering it, you would have a concrete evidence of what your value is to other teams.
And in a vacuum, that absolutely makes sense. But I would refer back to the Derrick Henry contract situation in 2020, in which they franchise tagged him specifically just to guarantee, hey, Derrick, if we can't find a long-term deal that makes sense for both sides, you're at least going to make this money. Like, we are going to take care of you in this situation. This is a good faith showing that we're not going to tell. Now, I'm not saying that Breece Hall is Derrick Henry. I'm just saying that that is the tactic that John Robinson employed successfully when they re-signed Derrick Henry to his second contract.
The Chiefs did it with Trey Smith.
Yes.
Placed the franchise tag on him, which, for the moment made him the highest paid, technically, AAV guard in the league. And then they gave him a long-term deal that, continued that. And Breece Hall is under the running back tag, which is $14.2 million approximately. Kyle Pitts making just over $15 million. And George Pickens making over $27 million on the wide receiver tag.
I wonder how that Pickens thing is going to go if they don't
what
get a
could
deal
go
done.
wrong?
Well, that's the thing. Like, is he okay with being tagged? I have to imagine not. I mean, and I hate to do like historical precedent on a player who's maybe had some maturity or lack thereof moments in his career, because it doesn't mean that he can't, mature eventually, and maybe he's going to good soldier his way through it. But I don't know. I feel like if I'm going off the George Pickens that we know, that he would probably not love the idea of being tagged coming off the year that he just had. Go ahead, Robert.
Matt Harmon had an exceptional piece in his reception perception write-up of George Pickens and about how he's blossomed into a complete player, and noted that his rookie year in the NFL, he was simply just a go-ball player, somebody that they would throw streaks to, that they used to stretch the field. His last year in Pittsburgh, he kind of grew into that role a little bit more and exceeded in routes. But last year in Dallas, if you go look at his success by route, everything is green. Every route that guy ran was...
He was awesome last year. Other than the moments where, like, he was being accused of mailing it in.
Right. But I think if you're going to use that with his attitude, I think you also have to take the fact that he is a much more polished player than he was when the attitude marred him in Pittsburgh, that they only got a third-round pick for him. Now I think if you were to trade George Pickens, you would get a much higher pick, given what we know about what he can do on the field and how he blossomed into a complete receiver.
It's kind of the rare mark against Mike Tomlin that way. Like, you've dealt with so many other situations that are flammable, for lack of a better term, and this guy you couldn't figure it out with?
And the DK Metcalf contract probably has a lot to do with that. Pittsburgh never given a contract of that money to a player before. Sure. They probably saw the writing on the wall. We're not going to give that contract to two players, so we might as well get something for one of them. But again, why would you not try to stretch it in that last year, or you could potentially trade him at the deadline?
I know, and it's so easy to do the results in hand, but, like, wouldn't you rather have George Pickens than DK Metcalf? At $30 million a year for DK? Well, I guess
just 35 per
I don't know,
Pickens.
man.
Also, his guaranteed money is completely gone because he grabbed that Detroit.
It's also really funny that
crazy
Pittsburgh all last year at the trade deadline, and even going into this year, what are they talking about? What are they talking about trading for? Wide receivers. Is Waddle available? Would you potentially send us Waddle? Can we get some help at wide receiver?
Is Jalen Waddle a number one?
I think he can be. If he was on a good team where Tua wasn't throwing hospital balls.
What kind of money is Kenneth Walker going to get? Like, how close to the top of the running back market, which Saquon rules right now, making $20.5 million a year? How close to that will Walker get coming off a Super Bowl MVP?
I just can't imagine anybody goes north of 15. AAV anyway.
I mean, that's pretty close to top of market. Like, that's what the math
still a $5 million difference.
Who is making under 16? 16 and under. Who's making that?
You have it in front of you?
Everybody except Barkley and McCaffrey.
Who is everybody? Like, give me the
So, like, Derrick Henry.
Henry, 15. Jonathan Taylor, 14. Kamara, 12.2. Jacobs, 12. James Cook, 11.5. Kyron Williams, 11. Aaron Jones, 10. Those are all your double-digit million AAVs.
He's not a better player than Jonathan Taylor. And I know that the market, the market pays what the market pays, but I would have a hard time giving him more than $15 million if Jonathan Taylor is making 14.
And some of those AAVs are influenced by how much total money is in the deal. Like, Derek's not making 15 a year. Like, he's making around 10 or 11. So, like, I don't know. I think the tag is fair money for Walker. I think 14 or 14 and a half is fair money for him.
But he doesn't want fair, right? And he wants what and understandably, like, when Charbonnet went down, and they leaned on him so heavily, and he delivered, right? Like, he is one of the most fun running backs to watch in football, because you think he's dead to rights behind the line of scrimmage 5 different times, and all of a sudden he turns it into a 15-yard gain. I don't want to argue against a player earning their money. I just think that, especially where is he going to go? Because Seattle had a great offensive situation for him. If he gets the kind of money he wants, it's going to be in a kind of situation where a team is trying to Band-Aid over a position with a player like Kenneth Walker, who needs a running back right now.
I mean, we mentioned yesterday, Connor Hughes reported that the Giants are expected to pursue Kenneth Walker. Make a, quote, strong push for Kenneth Walker.
It's like Jerry trying to trade for Max Crosby. Like Joe Shane all of a sudden is going to let Saquon walk and then be like, give me Kenneth Walker for not more than Saquon's making in Philadelphia, but more than Saquon wanted a couple of years ago.
I mean, yes.
Vikings also releasing Aaron Jones.
Saw that.
Man, Cam Scadaboo's looking around like, hey, man, just give me the rock.
No, stop. That guy is a vibes guy. That's not he did some good things, and he's a hell of a blocker.
He was awesome.
He's a meathead.
He was awesome.
He was not awesome in the sense of, like, that's one of the most explosive players in football. He was awesome because he likes to run his head into things.
Also, look at John Harbaugh teams pre-Derrick Henry. Like, it was always a stable. Like, Justin Forsett had a running mate, Alex Collins. Like, there's always someone to go with the running backs for
Who
Harbaugh.
else do they have, though? What's the other running back that they had? Tyrone Tracy?
Correct, yes.
I like him.
Former wide receiver, yeah.
How many total yards? He played in 8 games before he went down. How many total yards
Scadaboo?
do you think Scadaboo had? What do you think his total scrimmage yard average per game was?
Scrimmage yards?
Yes.
Like,
How
so
many games did
rushing
he play
and
in?
receiving, he said 8.
8 games.
I'm going to say he averaged 60 yards from scrimmage.
77.
Okay.
With 7 total touchdowns.
So what was his total?
He had 410 rush yards, 207 receiving yards in 8 games.
He's a battering ram.
not
Just
bad.
put him on the goal line and let him run his head into somebody.
Well, you can't get yards on the goal line. Like, he's getting yards. Like,
Yeah.
they're using him outside
No,
the
I mean
red
the
zone.
touchdowns. The idea, you had 7 touchdowns?
7 total touchdowns.
7 total touchdowns. They're doing a lot with him on the goal line.
He had a long of 24.
Because he didn't have explosive touchdown last year, right?
Sure, but I'm saying that's not his total game.
Yeah,
He's
that's
not
fair.
just a Brandon Jacobs run him into the back of your center's ass. Like,
He was on pace to be about a 1,000-yard rusher if he had stayed healthy, which is obviously the big question with him. And Jackson Dart. You see Jackson Dart doing this interview saying that he got an offer to be a linebacker at Utah early in his career.
Makes sense. Plays like one. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. We will talk about some medical information that's recently popped up about Ohio State safety Caleb Downs. I'm Buck Risings, 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Okay, so there are some injury updates on the medicals for Ohio State safety Caleb Downs. Now, some of this reads a little more inflammatory as a headline until you actually see some of the details in there. So he enters the draft cycle, high expectations, great college career, national champion, Thorpe Award winner, all these different things, right? And we've had the conversation about Daniel Jeremiah saying he's an excellent player, but he does not have an elite trait at the safety position. He has apparently had a little bit of a complication when some medical red flags began to surface last week at Indy. So the site by Corey, Robert, are you familiar with Corey Kinnan, Draft on Draft? Somebody who puts out a annual scouting notebook of what he's hearing during the NFL Combine. I am not familiar with him. I have heard of Draft on Draft. I don't know Corey specifically. But
his Twitter handle is at fake Corey Kinnan, which just makes it seem like
a
fake account. Exactly that.
Sure. But there's enough people who are commenting on this, credible people that you have heard of.
Like who?
Hasn't Pelissero and Rappaport talked about this on the Insiders last night? Didn't I see clips floating around?
I have not seen a single person in NFL media other than this person who reported it mention anything about a question about Caleb Downs' knee.
I want to say I saw a segment last night on NFL Network about it.
That doesn't mean it didn't happen. I just didn't see it posted on Twitter. But I will say that anybody that hides their information behind a Substack is a Scrooge. Give us your information. Stop dropping something like that, teasing it, and then going, oh, you have to pay to read the rest of my thoughts.
Especially because you're just going to get aggregated. Like one person's going to pay for it, then Yahoo Sports is going to plaster it all over the internet. So what is being disclosed, an NFC scout said that during their medical evaluation, noting a partially torn meniscus and a potentially degenerative ACL. So potentially degenerative ACL is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
I don't know.
And a partially torn meniscus is something that would pop up during the medicals, but it's not something that requires surgery necessarily. He downplayed it. He has dismissed general concerns about that and his positional value, saying that his ability, Downs, to affect the game makes him the best player available in the draft. Did either of you go over to his podium availability? I think I was doing the show.
I can't remember who was on at the same time as him, but no.
Okay. So either way, there is one person reporting that medical red flags surfacing. These aren't necessarily things that are outrageous. Like when Tajay Spears was reported and, evaluated by a number of different NFL executives to be a one-contract player because he straight up didn't have an ACL and a knee. That's more of a medical red flag by the traditional sense, saying, okay, if you invest, what did the Titans draft him with? A third-round pick? That's a tough situation to justify a third-round pick on a non-premium player that is probably a one-contract player. Now, Tajay hasn't had anything related to his knee pop up. He's had different issues.
Everything else.
Yeah, it's been basically everything else, and maybe somebody smarter than the medicals or smarter with the medicals than us could tell me if there is any residual effect from Tajay's pre-existing medical conditions that are causing him to have so many problems, but it's things like concussions, right? Robert, you have somebody giving medical analysis on Caleb Downs?
Yeah, this is Deepak Chona, and I did not know who this gentleman was, but Steve Palazzolo, formerly of PFF, he's on the morning show a lot, really tall giant. If you ever saw him, you wouldn't be able to
former college baseball player.
Yeah, he used to be a college pitcher.
Yeah.
You were saying that.
Yes.
Anyway, well, he retweeted this morning. So, because usually with these internet doctors, Twitter doctors, I am usually throwing a grain of salt in everything they say. But since Steve retweeted this, I'm willing to give it a little bit more connotation. So this was Deepak Chona, who is a doctor, talking about the degenerative ACL and the partial meniscus tear of Caleb Downs.
Reported.
People think Caleb Downs' stock just tanked. Here's the math GMs are actually doing. Degenerative ACL probably implies a prior partial injury If it fully tears, we replace it. Return to NFL rate, about 90% here. The partially torn meniscus doesn't tell you much because vast majority of tears are partial. Can trim it in a minor procedure with a relatively quick turnaround. Yes, data does show shortened careers, but we think it's a small tear given that he played every game, including logging 8 tackles and 2 forced fumbles in the playoffs. Minor concern? Yes. Deal breaker? No. Suspect this won't drop him too far on draft day.
If it does at all, right?
For what it's worth, Pat McAfee said on his show today that they reached out to multiple NFL teams about Downs, and they said there's nothing in the medicals that would deter them from bringing him in.
Yeah, which is basically supporting what the medical expert is saying, which is, it's a routine solution here.
I think it would be more apt to say that the reason he would drop in the draft is because he wasn't able to perform at the combine to show off his athleticism. So teams wouldn't have a pinpoint to say, oh, this was his 10 split, or hey, this is how his vertical was. He didn't work out at the combine due to this partial tear.
This is the difficulty on because I don't doubt that this Corey Kinnan guy heard this from an NFC scout, okay? But the question is, are you, as the person reporting the information, do you understand the context of what's being given to you, right? Like, is it actually a big deal, or are you going to classify it as, medical red flag? I don't know anything about a partially torn meniscus. Could that damage his draft stock? One NFC scout thinks so. Okay, but do you actually understand the practical application of, one, how NFL teams, because all of us who have done this in some part of our career run into this, where you don't fully understand the context around the information that's being given to you, and you put it out there face value. I'm not saying that the guy's wrong. I'm just saying that kind of gets into a little bit of a reckless territory, especially when you start dabbling in the medicals. You better know damn sure what you're putting out there, because you can impact these guys inadvertently, right? He's not trying to tank Caleb Downs' draft stock, I'm sure, but you can do some harm here by being a bit careless in the journalism.
I feel like all I need to know about Caleb Downs is that he started for Nick Saban as a true freshman. If I'm not mistaken, he and Will Anderson are, if not the only two, among the only two players that Nick Saban ever started on defense as true freshmen. And Saban once said about Caleb Downs that his competitive IQ, how he responds on the field and reacts instinctively, is in the top tier of all players of all time. Those were Nick Saban's words about Caleb Downs. Yeah, this dude, to me, has an argument to be one of the 4 best players in this draft.
Yeah, I don't disagree that someone probably told him this, but what was the reasoning behind that person telling him this?
You got to talk to multiple people on something like this. Like, I'm just running this through my context. Like, if I heard from one person a medical issue around Caleb Downs, okay, you got to find as many people as humanly possible to support that, or to give you some kind of different information that would keep you from putting that out there. It's the guiding principle. You only say 10% of what you actually know or what you actually hear, because yes, one team could do that, and one person from a team could have an ulterior motive that you don't fully understand. I don't know this person. This guy's just trying to make a living doing, combine and scouting, reporting and stuff like that. Like, I just think that this was not well done. This was done in a fashion that is reckless. And that is something that should be taken into consideration when you see stuff like that put out there.
And I'm not alleging that whoever the scout was told him this so it would get out and then potentially put question marks over him.
Sure,
I understand that's the game, but if it is, that's dirty as hell.
I don't think that. I think that we get it in our minds, or the general public gets it in their minds, that happens every time you have a conversation. Like, what's your motive here? Like, what are you trying to accomplish by telling anybody anything? But a lot of times, I don't think it's that nefarious. Has it happened? Absolutely. Does it happen probably every year? Absolutely. But I just don't think it's as malicious as people want to make it.
Not nefarious from the journalist, but I do think that
from the people talking about this.
Right. Well, I mean, what sense would you have to tell Corey Kinnan at Substack this information in the first place? Why would you tell him this? No one's going to try to garner favor with this guy. It's not like a Jeremy Fowler or some insider who has. Why would someone tell him this to go then report it if that wasn't their intention, or at least an adjacent intention?
I'm obviously not somebody who reports on, things on a national scale. But anytime you get into the reporting of information, you are doing it as an information exchange. It's because you also know something that whoever is giving you information wants to know. It's why people like Schefter and Diana and Rapp and Pelissero, they are talking to all of these other teams. They have additional information that, Team X is trying to find out about Team Y. So if you give me this on Team X, I'll give you this on Team Y, right? It's a dirty business, but, it's not for the inexperienced, which this screams to me of inexperience in reporting. A lot of records broken at the Combine. Does it actually impact our thoughts on this draft class? We'll talk about it coming up next.
12:02, good afternoon from the Circa Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. The NFL franchise tag window closes today at 3 p.m. Central Time. Notable tags around the league include George Pickens in Dallas, Kyle Pitts in Atlanta, and now Breece Hall, the running back in New York. As the Jets place the tag on Hall, the two sides reportedly are looking to reach a long-term agreement in the meantime. The Nashville Predators fell at home Monday to the Red Wings 4-2. They have dropped 4 of their last 5, now 4 points back of a wild card spot. It is a quick turnaround. The Preds back at it today, visiting the Columbus Blue Jackets. Puck drop at 6 p.m. College basketball, number 23 Tennessee is on the road at South Carolina. Star freshman Nate Ament not playing today with a right leg injury, reportedly a high ankle sprain. Tip-off tonight is at 5. All network coverage will be joined in progress at 5:30. And Vanderbilt on the road at Ole Miss. That is an 8 p.m. tip-off. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Do the combine testing numbers actually impact our opinion of this upcoming NFL draft class? What does it mean for the likes of Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, Reuben Bain Jr., who didn't test but obviously has a lot to prove at the NFL level after being a hugely productive college player? Does somebody like Taylon Green, the Arkansas quarterback, do himself any favors at the quarterback position from being as athletic as he was over the weekend in Indianapolis? We're going to talk about that here in this particular segment. It's the final hour. We're happy to have you. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to jump in at any point. So, does the combine testing have any football value? Any real football value? Practicality in the act of playing the position in a football game? There are some that do. There are not as many as you'd think. The combine testing exists really to preserve historical data across the decades upon decades that we've been doing this for the NFL to have those records on hand. But if the actual practicality of the drills doesn't translate as well as it should to the playing of these respective positions in an actual game, what are the values of these things, truly? We had one of the fastest combines ever at a variety of different positions. It's the fastest defensive line group that has been recorded. The running backs put on a show. We had several tight ends, including, I'm blanking, Eli Stowers, the Vanderbilt tight end, jump out of the gym, right? Or I guess out of the stadium, which we knew was going to happen because he's freakishly athletic. And you can see these things in game. You just put an actual figure on it when he does the vert next to Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end. For me, anyway, you guys might have different opinions on this, but it does not, for me, supersede. There is not a drill executed at the NFL Combine that supersedes a moment of these players' actual football tape.
So Bruce Feldman wrote about this on The Athletic, and he said of the 8 position groups, 7 of them, all except quarterback, posted the fastest times in combine history on aggregate. The quarterback position posted the second best times in combine history. So does that like lessen the value of a player crushing the on-field stuff at the combine?
Does it lessen the value of it?
Yeah. Like, should we care less about, I'm trying to think of a good example here, a guy like Chris Brazzell or Eli Stowers, to keep it local, having as good of numbers as they had, given that this is kind of a rising tide right now, and it's happening across the board. And as is tradition, the teams that get fooled into or fall in love with players primarily because of what they do on the field wearing tights are typically the ones that end up missing when they select those players.
Colts, cough, cough.
Like Brennan Thompson ran the fastest 40, which is the first thing we all want to know. Who ran the best 40? Who was the fastest? And that's great, and that's awesome for Brennan Thompson. But, like, how good of an NFL prospect is Brennan Thompson? He's tiny, for one.
It's the application of what did they break their records in, or what did their times do for them at what positions they're going to play in the NFL, right? So is the fact that an offensive lineman's 40-yard dash, that we have a bunch of offensive linemen running the 40-yard dash, does that actually matter? No, because how many offensive linemen are going to be sprinting 40 yards down the field at any given point? Now, there are some explosiveness drills. There are some explosive drills that are applicable, more applicable to an offensive lineman's skill set and what they're going to be asked to do in a game, but the 40 is not a practical usage of that. I don't think it hurts these guys. Like, it's good to have good numbers, right? The question is, how many teams are actually getting caught up in the combine testing numbers? Because there is, and really, this comes down to how many people are in the room when these guys are drafted, okay? Because it's not just the scouts who are going to say, yeah, I know. I'm going to use Amy as an example just because she's the owner here, okay? Amy, I know you saw this guy all over social media, and he blew the combine testing numbers out of the water, and he's, freakishly athletic, but like from a football application standpoint, he's not actually going to be what you think that might indicate. Like somebody who's not as well versed in the numbers. And I'm not taking a shot or saying that that's happened with Amy. Just like Arthur Blank or Robert Kraft, like whichever owner who's also in a decision-making position in that room. The most famous example of this is who? It's Al Davis, where Al Davis would get caught up in some of these figures and try to apply it in a more traditional football sense when Al Davis isn't really qualified to be making those decisions. Now, you have a lot of smart people in these rooms who are also there to help you through that process. But will it happen to one team every year that somebody's going to take an athletic, a more athletic football player than they actually are a good football player? Yeah, sure. It's going to happen at least once every year.
Well, every year, and M. Russo makes the point in the F&M Bank chat that slower players are testing less and less, while the faster players that know they're going to crush those numbers are going to always test because they know it'll put them in a good light, and that will kind of raise the average, and that makes sense. But combine records are being reset. It feels like every year. Like the average times, average measurements just keep going up, going up, going up. And then you get to a point where the NFL, which it already was, but even more so, is just chock full of freak athletes. Like we know this, right? So it does, when you look at it through that context, make it seem even sillier to fall in love with a guy because he's a freak athlete when he's about to go to the league full of freak athletes if he doesn't have the football to back it up, the tape to back it up.
Or the acumen, right? Because it's not just about can you run fast and can you jump high. It's do you know how to diagnose, isolate, and eliminate, do all these different things from the mental processing standpoint that are going to allow you to actually apply your skill sets here. But I would push back on you the idea that this, because it makes this combine conversation a little more interesting. We do have historical data that's kind of being tampered with because we're not having the sheer volume of prospects do these workouts, to your point. But those tight end workouts, those records have stood for 20 years. That's why I brought up Vernon Davis as a combine loser the other day. Vernon Davis's combine records have stood for 20 years. So that's not something that just happened, a year ago or 2 years ago. Like, we are seeing a greater volume of this and understanding that the guys that know, to your point, the guys that know they're going to crush it are going to be more inclined to do it. Go ahead, Robert.
I just think as a whole, like the combine is fun for fans and buzz, but at its core, the combine is there to supplement what scouts and general managers see on tape. Hey, this guy looks sluggish and slow coming out of his blocks. Or, hey, this guy has trouble getting to his landmarks. Okay, is he slow? Is he actually slow, or is he having trouble computing how to get there? Okay, he runs his 40. Okay, he's not slow, so maybe I need to go back and realize, okay, is he reading something too wrong? Are they asking this player to do too much? The combine should always be used to supplement the evaluation of the player and never be the full evaluation of the player.
Todd Downing and Mekhi Lemon. It just happened. Like, I'm giving you instructions. We're going to ask you to run this drill a very specific way. Mekhi Lemon is not, he appears to be. We don't know that he's not paying attention. He could be, looking around and listening at the same time.
He looked like I looked like as a kid, and my mom would take me like shopping.
He looked
shopping.
He looked like you about halfway through the show every day when you're looking at your lunch options.
Like a bunch of T-ballers in the outfield, they're picking grass. It's like, all right, guys, make sure your glove is all the way on the ground and you want to approach the ball. And you look in at your center fielders just picking clover out there.
But what happened to Mekhi Lemon when he appears to not be paying attention to Todd Downing's instructions during the drill?
He botched the drill.
He botched the drill, right? He botches the drill. The ball goes 20 yards over his head because he's running 1/4 speed as opposed to 3/4 speed when he's being given explicit direction. Again, supplementary evidence that should factor into your analysis, your final grade, your final report. But the reports on these guys are done. By the time we get to Indy, the football tape has been studied by the people who absolutely have to have their tape study done. The reports have been submitted. You get the reports to the coaches. The coaches give you some profiles. You allow the time for the coaches to catch up on these things because the coaches are not scouting year-round the way that the scouts and the personnel evaluators are. Supplementary points to add or to detract from your case when you get into day 3 in the middle of the 4th round and all of a sudden there's a conversation between, I don't know, Des Fitzpatrick and Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? And you're the scout in the room banging on the table for Amon-Ra St. Brown, but somebody gets caught up in something about Des Fitzpatrick and says, nah, we're going to take that player instead.
I just think dudes are going to get stronger and faster and more explosive the more time goes by. Doesn't necessarily mean, like, the athletic traits unquestionably are that level is being raised year over year over year, right?
Yeah.
Is the level of football player associated with that being raised at the same rate?
You could argue that is taking place, and I know some people in the NFL would argue that that's taking place because of the retention rate that we're now seeing, because NIL is keeping guys maybe not at programs for years over years, but they're staying in college football in a developmental process for longer because they stand to make more money that way. Like, we're seeing more finished products make it to the NFL, I think, right now in the modern era of college football than ever before, or closer to finished products.
Yeah, but generally, I wouldn't say that the level of football player is climbing coming out of the draft the way the level of athletic traits is climbing, which can lead to these gaps between what a guy can do on the field. Like Kenyon Sadiq seems like a great guy. He's crazy traitsy. He was good last season for Oregon, but Bruce Feldman points out in this piece, blew away all the athletic testing, but didn't do any of the receiving drills. A big question about Kenyon Sadiq is his consistency with his hands and some of the drops that plagued him last year at Oregon.
And I'm glad Buck brought him up initially because he had to have a great combine to re-solidify himself as the number one tight end and where he would go. Because in some years, like 2017, 2016, Max Williams was the number one tight end. He didn't go to the second round.
Who? Oh, Max Williams
out
was
of
a
Minnesota.
Ravens draft pick, right?
Yes.
He ended up on the Cardinals for a couple of years.
He did.
Max with 2 X's.
But the note on Kenyon Sadiq was he looked better as being the number 2 tight end behind Terrence Ferguson, who was a second-round pick for the Rams last year, than he did being the solo guy. It's like, okay, when he got all the opportunities, what Lucas alluded to with the drops, the consistency issues. So he had to have a great combine to reaffirm himself of, no, I can be that guy. I can be that athletic specimen. Look at how fast I am. Can't you fix me?
Yeah.
Can't you make me that guy?
And that's the place where coaches get caught up because, Andre Dillard looks great in shorts, right? Until you put Andre Dillard on the field and you're like, maybe I can't actually fix him. That's probably one of the worst decisions that Mike Vrabel made during his time here is going out of his way to try and fix somebody like Andre Dillard, where there was many, many years of research and development done on that player to say, that player's not going to be a good NFL player. But despite the moments, the fleeting moments that you have of, oh, no, he's not going to be late with his hands in this spot, and he's very athletic for a guy that size.
Generally, to finish this conversation by boiling it down to the most reductive version of it possible, is it more overrated or underrated? What happens on the field in Indianapolis during the Combine?
Overrated.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because the crappy thing is the interviews matter more than the combine does.
By a mile.
Yeah, 100%.
By a mile.
Which Mike Borgonzi will speak on a little bit.
Next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Man, I could go for some Hattie B's. Been thinking about hot chicken since we got back from Indy because there is no hot chicken in it. Indy has many things, but no Hattie B's. Chicago now has a Hattie B's location. So the next time we're up there for a Bears game, or the Titans been up in Chicago a couple of different times. They opened there, the famous Will Levis meltdown game, Surrender Cobra, then a preseason game where Will Levis got hurt.
Not for long. Chicago.
Oh, what is the city in Indiana? It doesn't matter. The region.
Gary.
No, it's not Gary. It's not Gary. It starts with a T, I want to say.
I thought it was Gary.
No, it's not Gary. No, because I had a bunch of Hammond, the Hammond Bears, Hammond, Indiana. So the entire northern industrial part of Indiana is referred to as the region. The region is not a fun place.
How many places are named after someone's name? Like, I live in Gary. Like, it sounds like you're a germ. Like, I mean, like the Magic School Bus episode.
I live in Gary. It's crazy.
Yeah, where's...
The Magic School Bus is such an underrated show. I think we have enough years have passed. Magic School Bus, certified banger.
Well, we're bringing everything else back. How do we not have, and I may be ignorant to this, how do we not have a live action Magic
Miss
School
Frizzle?
Bus? Yes.
Oh.
Stop it. Don't even get me started. If everybody wants to talk about redheads and the hierarchy of redheads in pop culture, Jessica Rabbit, everyone wants to talk about her. Oh, look at Miss Frizzle was fine with a capital F.
Yeah,
I would love to do some of that for lunch.
Ooh, get some pho? It's a little chilly.
I need you to stay focused. It's not chilly. It's 60
chilly.
degrees outside.
He was just looking at Rainforest Cafe's menu. You can't blame him.
Well, that's because we were scheming during the pre-show to do a live show from Rainforest Cafe. Robert and Kirby have now we've tried to put together a list of places that I will actually go to do a live show. I would go to the Rainforest Cafe remote.
Buddy, I could care less if you're there or not, as long as my food is comped, because my goodness.
It's expensive at the Rainforest Cafe.
$12 to add on mashed potatoes? What are we talking about?
To add on the mashed potatoes.
It is shareable, but come on.
Do you get to share it with the animals? Like, what are we talking about?
We were discussing this. We have Mike Borgonzi stuff to get to here in just a second.
Side salad for $8?
So you have not been to a Rainforest Cafe since
I was a little baby boy living in
I
Nashville.
actually went there to break up with a girl.
Really? Went there to break up with a girl?
Well, no, we were in the mall. I was like, we could just go eat at the Rainforest Cafe. This was 2015.
This isn't working. And then it's like...
like the thunderstorm effects.
Hey, what did you say? Sorry, I can't hear you. This python's hissing in my ear. What did you say? This isn't working.
I mean, you have to yell. Like when the sound effects start up, you have to yell over the production of the Rainforest Cafe. Also, no sadder place in America than a Rainforest Cafe in a mall.
Well, the Opryland Aquarium restaurant I've always had weird issues with. Like, are we eating them? Is this Nemo?
Is this farm to table?
Or was this
Fish
guy
to
just
table?
Was this guy just floating around in your outdoor tank out there?
I promise you, there's worse things floating around Opry Mills than whatever's in those tanks.
A tank to table aquarium restaurant.
Ooh.
That's basically what Red Lobster is, right? You look at the lobster in that sad little green tank and say, I want that.
See, I've always wanted to open a restaurant, Wasabi Robbie's, and it would be an American sushi fusion restaurant. Get stuff like cheeseburger sushi.
There is a Rainforest Cafe in Paris.
V-Love just tweeted us and says there's a live action OnlyFans for Miss Frizzle.
That's awful. I can't believe he would share that. DM me the link. Why would you bring that up?
Disgusting. Where?
It's like Stephen A. Smith talking about the Magic City night the Hawks had. I am disgusted and appalled that I cannot be there.
No. Don't spoil my dumbest thing in sports this week because a local legend, Luke Cornett, just nerd. What are we doing? I want to make fun of that tomorrow.
There's a Rainforest Cafe in Malta.
Well, it's an international franchise, famously.
And in Tokyo as well. But Malta?
I bet in Tokyo it's a banger. I bet in Tokyo they do it correctly. It's like all of our other American inventions. Like McDonald's is better everywhere else in the world, but here.
Sad fact, I bet there are more rainforest cafes than there are rainforests.
Why would you do that?
Just the world we're living in now. Go enjoy your local rainforest cafe before it's too late. Put up a parking lot.
Before the big logging industry comes for the Rainforest Cafe.
Like Fern Gully.
Yes, we're laughing at planetary destruction.
Rainforest Cafe, a great place for Mike Borgonzi to take a Titans prospect on a 30 visit. Nobody would expect it. Probably nobody in there.
Mickey Ryan is dropping his head into his hands, sobbing at the way that you try to imitate his teases.
I learned from the best.
You go, well, apparently not very well.
So if Mike Borgonzi,
love you, Mickey,
who confirmed to us at the Combine that he would drop a prospect off his board if he ordered the chicken tenders at a fine Italian establishment, what menu item at the Rainforest Cafe would have the Titans saying, no, we cannot bring this person into our building?
Give me the entrees. Because I know you have it in front of you. Give me the entrees with all of the nicknames that they have.
So
he had a page up.
It was Miss Frizzle's OnlyFans.
I X'd out of it right as you said that. Now I'm looking at the locations. Okay. The entrees.
Yes.
There's several of them. There's the Python pasta, the Rasta pasta, the Anaconda pasta. There's Creole mac and cheese and Southern Cross lasagna, which is $25.
Jeez.
There are blackened fish tacos, Caribbean coconut fried shrimp, tropical salmon and coconut shrimp, Taste of the Islands, which is coconut shrimp, mango habanero glazed shrimp, jerk seasoned tilapia topped with pineapple salsa.
How much is that?
$35.
Oh,
yeah, because we're in a landlocked state and that tilapia is actually catfish.
They've got Amazon fajitas.
You can raise tilapia in a swimming pool. They don't have to need water.
Jungle steak and shrimp, Korean spicy stir fry, Bimini chicken. I mean, I don't know.
Bimini is the way that Caribbean island is pronounced.
They should have put a pronunciation guide. All of this sounds.
What is the Anaconda pasta?
Terrible.
The Anaconda pasta. Yeah, this is the type of thing that will just.
That's why I'm hyperfixating
Mr. Borgonzi
on this. This would rule the prospect out.
Yes. Gluten sensitive pasta, which I'm out. Local garden vegetables, mushroom, basil, Parmesan cheese, red pepper flakes, white wine, tomato sauce.
Whose garden?
You can add chicken for $5.
$5?
You can add salmon for $9.
Do I get a whole chicken?
Gross.
Bring my Costco rotisserie in there with me.
Just keep it under the table, pull off some shreds.
Just have a whole segment of Rainforest Cafe.
You imagine sitting around with Titans executives? I'll have the Rasta pasta, please.
Anyway, so Mike Borgonzi did an appearance on Todd McShay's podcast in which he disclosed a lesson that he has learned from his nearly 2 decades in personnel evaluation.
I hope there's a Rainforest Cafe executive listening.
Listen, buddy, last time we talked about getting the polls sponsored by Deja Vu, the strip club, we had a call from the strip club manager in, I kid you not, Robert, 30 seconds. Lucas picked up the phone. Speaking with some nefarious strip club executive about, potentially sponsoring a feature on the show.
Well, we would never do that, but I could work something under the table if you'll DM me at Robbie, ROBBY_Walsh.
Under the table, are you?
On top of the table, don't matter to me.
Play the Mike Borgonzi sound.
Well, I feel that, there's a lot of failures along the way. And if you're talking about just this profession, I think the biggest thing is we're so intoxicated by talent, right? Mm-hmm. But the other component of that, and it's a huge component, is the character piece, the makeup piece, and sometimes you can give in on it.
Yeah.
And then when you do it, you said, God, I knew it wasn't going to work out. Why did I do that?
Yeah, it's hard.
So those are some of the lessons you learn along the way, but to stay disciplined with that.
Isn't that just the entire thing we just talked about with combine testing?
I think he's talking more from a character perspective is how I kind of read that.
Or he said talent too.
Yeah, he's saying you can fall in love with the talent. But right, Robert, is that how you received that?
Yeah. So like a Tyreek Hill situation where inevitably they did fall in love with the talent and it worked out great for them. But falling in love with the talent and overlooking the short-sightedness of other parts of the prospect.
Who's a player a talented player that the Chiefs drafted in the last 16 years that he could possibly be talking about that's not Tyreek Hill? Because the Tyreek Hill thing worked for them.
Right. And then you could say Rashee Rice, but that has also kind of worked out for him. Now,
Is he still there with Rashee Rice? That would have been his last year.
Yeah, he would have been. That was 23.
Who, by the way, objectively, allegedly, horrible person, Rashee Rice. I am curious to see how often they deviate from that. If they were to take a player with character concerns in any situation, as long as Mike Borgonzi's here, people are going to go back to that clip and be like, okay, well, why is this one worth sacrificing or, looking overlooking is what I should say, overlooking some of the other stuff, some of the baggage that a player might come with. Because inevitably there's, how many different players come in with some kind of issue every year, whether it's legal, whether it's personal, whether it's actually something that's gone to trial or something that they may have, brushed under the rug. Shout out Georgia with all these different things that they've had in the last couple of years, because there are many, many good football players that aren't necessarily good people. Like in any industry.
But it also doesn't have to be so black and white, like you're either a good person or you're a bad person with baggage, right? It can also be a character fit, a mentality fit that just doesn't fit with what you're trying to achieve in your organization.
Dillard and Vrabel.
Well, I'm thinking about the moves that Mike Borgonzi has actually made here, and that's trading away Jarvis Brownlee and T'Vondre Sweat, right? Like, not to say those are bad character guys, but for whatever reason.
They're not. For what it's worth, they're not.
Yeah.
Neither of them.
And I don't want to put that on either of those guys. But, like the Brownlee thing alone, for whatever reason, the Titans clearly did not believe that Jarvis Brownlee was a fit for what they were trying to do here. Like, that was made clear by Mike Borgonzi in his press conference. And then fast forward to the T'Vondre Sweat trade, where you can talk more about the scheme fit and Saleh's defense there as well. But as we've talked about, I don't think T'Vondre Sweat attacked every day like the Titans would have wanted him to.
I know he didn't.
But I think more about those two moves when I hear that from Borgonzi than I do anything that he may have been a part of in Kansas City.
I think he's given his buddy Brinker a pass there, because I know Chad Brinker wasn't the general manager, but he was very much a part of the front office when those two decisions were made. So I think that's something that has to be, considered internally, because think about this, though. You know how many scouts are still there from J-Rob? Like, I think people think these things turn over every time a GM gets fired. There are still a good percentage of scouts and personnel people that have been there since John Robinson was working there, that they just haven't turned over. And I wonder if at some point they're just trying to teach the scouts, the existing scouts, a new language every year that they do this. Obviously, the Carthon situation was different.
I'd want to have more context on what that's like around the league when there's general manager turnover.
No, I think it's quite common.
Yeah, like how often...
But I think
are you able to completely turn over the entire scouting staff?
No, it's too many people, and there's just not that many people who work in scouting. There's not that many people who are willing to do those jobs, because those jobs are miserable for not a lot of money. It's not a glamorous situation to go be, scouting Division II prospects somewhere in Missouri as an area scout or something like that.
Yeah, like I doubt that's a very unusual thing to have scouts in the building from a previous administration.
Well, this is 2 at this point,
sure.
Understanding that Rand Carthon was short-lived, but I think fans probably are not aware of that it is commonplace that would be the case.
And also the way scouts rise through the ranks, right? Like it's not so much they're aligned with a certain general manager's ideology as much as it is, okay, you scout the South, or you scout the Midwest, or you scout this area, and then they get really good at it, and they make contacts in that area, and you work your way up. It's not so much that they're tied to that general manager. They're just giving their reports to that general manager. Their thoughts aren't, like the lowest scouts, the lowest common denominator, the guys that go to the games and write the big reports, they're not the ones picking these draft picks. They're just the transcription monkeys that are like, oh, let me type what I think about this guy and give this guy a 500-word report, and here's the background, and here's what the coaches said, to give everyone else a synopsis of the player. They're not the one drafting these guys. They're just the one giving their opinion on them.
But they can have an influence, right? And if you recommend a player that doesn't pan out, then you're probably not going to advance. Now, it doesn't mean that you get fired, because, again, what's the hit rate on first-round quarterbacks anyway? We've talked about this. It's under 46% of them that even start a playoff game for the team that drafted them. So you are dealing with as inexact a science as maybe any out there. It's more difficult in the NFL, I would argue, than any other sport. I see at least one person saying it's an issue that there's still as many John Robinson people as there are. It's just these are Titan scouts. It's not, don't assign them to a general manager. I know that's kind of hard to do because that's what the general manager oversees. But these are people who have been employed by the Titans.
Who is it?
Spam call.
Answer it.
Next.
Oh, hold on. Don't do that. Before we go, I thought this was important. From that clip with Mike Borgonzi, this is me when Cheyenne is telling me about how her day went.
Me every time Kirby tells a story that goes 20 minutes too long.
My favorite was, it was like 1:30. We're all trying to sleep.
A.M.
Kirby is telling me.
Well, no, not all of us trying to sleep. Lucas was the only one actually trying to sleep. The three of us were, still participating in malfeasance at 1:30 in the morning.
Kirby's telling me about the tax law on food in Ohio. And Buck goes, Kirby, shut the hell up. He's laying on the couch. He's trying to go to sleep.
Which is funny
in the morning.
because I have tactics with Kirby. He knows this. I'm not disclosing anything, that would hurt Kirby's feelings. But when Kirby gets on a roll and I know that I'm stuck, I'll just, go to another room. Or I'll start to slowly phase it, which is exactly what I did to you. I went upstairs for no reason.
The reason was you didn't want to eat. You left those wings as a trap so Kirby would stay with me, and you knew that if I started eating, Kirby would stay and make fun of how fat I was, so you would be able to bail out the back door and go to bed.
No, that was before the wings even arrived. That was as we walked in the door, and he was yammering on about God knows what. I just at one point just walked upstairs. And then he had nobody to turn his direction or his attention to but you. Laying there like a beached whale on the couch.
It was 4:30 and I woke up and he was still telling me how mascarpone cheese is not taxed the same as regular cheese. Thank you, Kirby.
We love you, buddy. We'll update the polls next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Best hot chicken in the world. All right, so we've got a variety of different sports headlines, not necessarily specific to NFL or college football or college basketball, but a reminder that the tag deadline for NFL teams passes at 3 p.m. Central Time today. So something to keep an eye on. There are no Titans tag candidates at this point in time, so not necessarily something you have to concern yourself with, just kind of picking off. I think we're really all waiting around on the Colts, right? Because it's between Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce, and theoretically they could transition tag one and franchise tag the other. Both tags are at their disposal, or both tags are at teams' disposal at this point in time. You can't use a franchise tag twice in the same year that way, though you can tag guys with a franchise tag over multiple years, a la Kirk Cousins. Anyway, what are the variety of headlines that you have? Because you just gave me one from college sports that's huge.
Yeah, Pete Thamel a couple hours ago, Kentucky Athletic Director Mitch Barnhart is expected to retire. Thamel writes, an announcement is expected in the near future. He is in his 24th year as Kentucky's AD. So that is some pretty seismic,
huge
administrative news at the college level. He is the longest serving athletic director in the SEC, and I would say a pretty successful tenure at Kentucky. Oversaw a national championship in basketball in 2012 and the best era of Kentucky football in the history of the program, certainly in the modern era with Mark Stoops. So that also means that Will Stein, the newly hired Kentucky head coach, will, it seems, begin his tenure under an AD that did not hire him. And it means that Mark Pope, assuming he's back next year, if Kentucky doesn't flame out and he gets axed, will be under some heat next year and working for a guy that did not hire him.
Under some heat next year. You're under heat this year.
He's under heat now. So, also, I don't know if you saw this, Mark Stoops is joining Steve Sarkisian's staff at Texas as an assistant.
See that, no.
So, he is back in action. Adam Schefter was on, may still be on, the Pat McAfee show saying some interesting things. Some noise is starting to come out of Indy about Daniel Jones and all the discussions he's having with the Indianapolis Colts. And Schefter said he believes that Daniel Jones and the Colts have been in discussions for a long time, or for a long-term deal. Both sides would like to get a deal done. There's been a disagreement on value. He says his guess is it will be the transition tag for Daniel Jones, which that deadline's coming up in 2 hours.
So they could franchise tag then Alec Pierce.
Before we move on, who the hell is going to pay Daniel Jones the money? Who is he worth as much to as the Colts?
That's the problem.
Like the Cardinals, the Vikings? Like he was with the Vikings when he originally got cut by the Giants.
Well, and also, like if you're the Colts, you're going to pay that dude for a year to not play because he's coming off an Achilles. He's going to miss the bulk of the 2026 season. So, you hate it for Daniel Jones. You just hate it on a human level, right? I don't know Daniel Jones from anybody, but you hate it on a human level because that was a guy who took a chance on himself, looked like it was going to cash in a big way, and in the worst possible
what a wild year they had.
Scenario. I mean, I can't imagine being a Colts fan. I'm sure they're in hell.
So Schefter just dropping nugget after nugget with Pat McAfee. He said he believes the Colts are determined to sign Alec Pierce to a long-term deal before he gets to free agency.
Which is why the franchise tag would make sense if they can't come to a long-term deal immediately.
I would be interested to know, okay, if that's a foregone conclusion that they would like to do this, what are the implications to their roster? Because it's kind of tight.
It means Pittman's out.
Well, and you can't tag both, right?
You can franchise tag one and transition tag the other.
It's not one or the other?
No. You have both tools at your disposal.
Are you positive about that?
I will make sure.
I'm doing it.
Schefter also said his guess is Trey Hendrickson will not be tagged by the Bengals like he was last year, and he will hit the free agent market.
Makes sense.
He said the Raiders are looking for a Micah Parsons type of package for Max Crosby. If they don't get that, they are prepared to keep him in Vegas. And the Vikings are open to trading pass rusher Jonathan Grenard.
Well, and apparently also taking calls on J.J. McCarthy, as we talked about last week in Indy. Robert, you have an update?
Yeah, secondary source in this. They cite a New York Times article that I'm also going to peruse, but this is Google AI. No, under the current NFL collective bargaining agreement, a team cannot use both a franchise tag and a transition tag on different players in the same offseason. Each NFL club is limited to only one use of either the franchise tag or the transition tag. Now,
let me say that's changed in the last couple of years.
Okay, so this is in the Athletics article. To be clear, a team can't use the non-exclusive franchise tag on one player and a transition tag on a different player in the same offseason. A franchise can choose only one type of tag for one player each year. And in quotation, he notes, teams can also use the exclusive franchise tag, though that is rare.
Yeah, I was about to say there's a third type of tag that teams almost never use.
That's the Lamar Jackson tag,
Right.
where if you were to offer him a new contract and they agreed to it, you would have to pay the team that tagged him 2 first-round picks. Colts general manager Chris Ballard said at the Combine that he would prefer not to use the tag, which he has deployed only once in his 9 years at the helm. He may be forced to use it again, however, especially if Jones and the team failed to strike a deal before Tuesday's tag deadline. If you guys had the choice, you could only tag one player between Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce. Who are you tagging?
Pierce, because Jones isn't going to play.
At what point did he rupture the Achilles?
Late.
Yeah, if Daniel Jones is going to miss a bulk of next season, just cut ties, man. It sucks. It really does.
December 7th, Week 14 against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, that's way too late. Way too late.
Because then it's not just 26. It's what's he going to look like in 27. You know, like this becomes a Lloyd Cushenberry, Aaron Rodgers, like any player coming off an Achilles. It almost takes 2 years before you look. Like, I mean, the best one to come back from an Achilles here recently was Kirk Cousins. Yeah.
So they're saying
that's messy.
When it came out that the injury happened, they are saying a 9-month recovery process to be followed by a 3-month process to get him fully back up to speed. So 9 months from December would put you right at the beginning of the season, and then 3 months after that would put you right at the end of November.
I mean, I guess his leverage is, well, who the hell is going to play quarterback for you? But the response would be, well, not you next year.
We'll start the cat out of Notre Dame, Riley Leonard.
We have to go about this in another way. I feel terrible for him.
Well, see, okay, I didn't think about this, but the leverage they no longer have is they don't have a first-round pick anymore. So tanking benefits them zero.
The Sauce Gardner.
Losing games benefits them zero.
Yeah.
So they need a quarterback who can play for them and play meaningfully.
Oof.
That's his leverage. And then trying to convince them that, hey, I could be back by October.
Somebody said the Colts should draft Tai Simpson. They can't. He's not going to be there in the second round, one would imagine. What a mess they are.
Sucks to suck.
Happy for Titans fans. All right, some rapid-fire polls.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. What in sports made you say, oh no? Karen says Tennessee blowing yet another double-digit lead against Alabama.
Reasonable.
Mr. Donkey says when people actually claim to miss the Winter Olympics. Robert, not a Winter Olympics guy.
No, I didn't claim to miss it. I did. Oh, claiming like, oh, I missed the Olympics.
Yeah. He's saying those people are full of it. Keith says Bruce Pearl saying that 29-0 Miami of Ohio should be left out if they don't win their conference.
That's a good point, though. If the Olympics was on year-round every single year, would the numbers be less?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of it. It's the scarcity. You only get it every
So
2
you
to 4
guys
years.
don't really care. Like, if it was on every month, like, okay, first...
Well, Olympic sports are on, and you're right. We don't care until the Olympics.
That's what makes them matter more, though.
Nah. Okay. So why does that same thing not apply to beauty pageants? Beauty pageants are never on TV. Oh, but it's the Miss Universe. Oh, let's all watch it. Nobody cares.
Well, scarcity increases value.
Also, Miss Universe is not a subject of national pride.
It definitely is. Are you kidding me? Do you don't think the Chilean people care that their woman is Miss Universe?
Is that the case?
I think people in Chile have bigger problems than Miss Universe pageants.
How much stock do you put into NFL Combine workouts? A lot, a little, none at all. 81% say a little. 13% say none at all. Only 6% say a lot.
A little.
A little. Yeah. Those are the polls.
Very good. That's the show. Robert and I are off prime time tonight. We'll catch you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Come hang out with us. We'll have reaction to Tennessee and South Carolina in the absence of Nate Ament. We'll see you there.
it.